What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Thursday, September 3rd to all of you. We are 48 hours away from Kentucky Derby special show. 48 hours away from an enormous day of horse racing, and I'm very, very excited. NCAA football is back. Today we'll break down every single game on the MLB, NBA, NHL, and NCAA football slate. We have special guest Bobano. Thank you so much for watching Betting with the Bag right here on odds.com, odds headquarters. Let's get to work. Matt Randall putting in that hustle. 3-2 on posted show plays yesterday, but the taint lost, and that is not acceptable, says our Matt Randall. And double taint Thursday. Double taint Thursday. I don't know if that's ever been said before. Blue Jays money line and White Sox money line. I already doubled up on the Blue Jays first 5 in full game. Brian Watson ready to get to work. Buzz nuts. I've also made a move in NBA. One move on a total in Nuggets Clippers, which I can't wait for. Ben Sports 24/7 cash flow is money. Nice call. White Sox Minnesota under 9.5. Letting us know that today's play is coming shortly for the chat. There's Xavier Oliver ready to get to work. We got Mitch Bruner in the house. Ostino Liggett. I'm also dealing with a second week of insomnia. All these sports, it's a grind, and it's a grind that I love. I'm not going to sit here and whine about it. Look, I love the grind and I love the work. And I am not going to whine about the fact that I can't sleep with all this going on. There's Gregory Wilson in the house. There's our guy, Beach Boss. Oh, Beach Boss, our man, Beach Boss. Wow. A $100 parlay that was going to pay out $22K yesterday. And it all came down to just needing one spot, the Rockets -4. But, Beach Boss, the fact that you could get that close, and this is not the first time you've hit giant parlays before, but not the first time that you've been so close to a 20+ K parlay on a very small bet. It's because you're a great capper. Don't take it. Don't worry about it. You know, if you weren't coming close at all to any of these, then you'd worry. But if you just miss a giant parlay like that, it's exceptional capping, and you will get one soon. There's Jimmy Gomez in the house, Tim Montana, and there's Beach Boss's looks for today. Knights, Islanders, Jays, Phillies, Astros, Cubbies, Clippers, and Yankees. Tim Montana hit a 4-teamer, 1-push Tigers first 5. It's 4-0 going into the bottom of the 4th, and we can't hit the Tigers at +145. Oh, my goodness. Andrew G. Is that facts? Look at that breaking news from our Andrew G. Steve Nash. I have a Steve Nash autographed jersey, but it's a Lakers jersey. Sucks. That's a Lakers jersey. Andrew G. Huge news. Our BC boy, Steve Nash, the coach of the Nets. Wow, that's wild. PG 00187 Neo Money. Serious business. Says, let's get it. Respect. Serious business here for the grind. We are thankful to cap with you. There's Paco Healy. Ready to go. Mr. Wisdom. John Connolly. Todd Petkoff. Good to see you, my friend. Hustle Wilson. And there he is. Came up 3 points short of 21. Yeah, he just looked awful. There's no getting around it. He looked terrible. Neo Money back in action. There's Ken Mizrahi on our odds Periscope. Talking sports with JT. Jays money line, Padres run line, Twins money line last night win. I'm going back. Jays, I hit with the Jays, but my MLB continues to fluster. 2-2 in NBA. Lost to Chris Paul prop. Was on Thunder and Heat, both +5.5 and 5, respectively. 16-3 in my last 19 NBA sides and totals, and yet I still feel the need to bet a prop like a clown. MMA locker room, great video, by the way, my man. Viral video ready to go. Larry Garr Another 6-pick parlay for $11.71. Nothing but filet mignon and lobby stuff for the rest of the week. I love it. Larry Gar eating. There's Ryan Gosling coming to us live from Montreal. Arnold Valentine in the house. TJ with another prop winner. I retweet him all the time. MMA also had the Rockets. Viral video ready to go to work. Jenny Tools, the czar. Mr. Wisdom, Chili Dog Dooley. Actually, poor little Joe. Yeah, look, they won soundly with Mike Hutchinson goal. And that first goal that Hutchie let in was absolute trash. Doesn't allow another one. It's not like he was making too many great saves either. The Avalanche are the better hockey team. But what's going on with Landeskog in that cut, looked very scary. I don't know if any of you guys know what's going on with Landeskog. And it comes down to one game, and anything can happen in one game. Dean Eden destroys the KHL. Can't wait to see your looks day in and day out. Paco Healy using Clevenger today. There's Alex Ramirez, start the Spidey play of the day. Mr. Wisdom, it just broke my spirit. When the Tigers couldn't hold on, it broke my spirit. C-Max says the classic Nash Lakers jersey. I know. It was a gift. And at the time, I was like, man. Now it's not even framed. It's just in the back of my closet. Shears ready to go. Matt Janicki, first day of college football, and we have just the man for college football. Bobano joining us here in seconds. Joseph Gomez not a fan of our Steve Nash. There's JR, Leroy Flood, Vincente Gigante, George Wood. Wow, Bucks to come back and win the series. As I see a better basketball team in the Heat, but we'll see what happens when Giannis Antetokounmpo is put to a test. He failed it last year, but I expect him to step up. Jorge Correa saying weird ending, no doubt about it. There's Razor Sharp. 2 more days to not only the Kentucky Derby, but Razor Sharp's birthday. We're going to do it all right here, starting at 10:45 in the morning. I can't wait. David Martin, 3-pick, 4-pick, 6-pick. David Martin, I love it. Juan Ruiz ready to go. Ty Clinton talking about the refereeing. Vero Video loving the early show. John K. Abs to win series, please. Please let my futures be live. Please, please, please. All right, we've got to get to work. We've got to get to work right now. Nice job, Tim Montana, on Lopez props. Joseph Gomez says, how's anyone but CP3 taking the last shot? You know, CP3 did kind of buckle a little bit down the stretch. And it was certainly not another flawless game. At least 5 turnovers. At least 5. Johnny Case's Flyers get another win. We have just the man to talk about all of that action. Let's get to work right now. Awesome day for our Jason Lowry. Love seeing that. Paco Healy saying, gotta fade Anibal Sanchez, but I don't really like Eflin. That's something I've been dealing with as well. And Dutch Boy Fresh will be making his Betting with the Bag debut tomorrow. Fresh Fridays. All right. And Slats45 says, can't believe I lost an over with Hutchinson, but how great was Noli's under was on in LA? Yes. And that was another spot where the time of the show crushed me. Because when I went to bet it, it moved to 4. Like I said, it was 4.5 minus 120. When I went to bet it, it moves to 4. I don't bet it, and it's an easy winner. All right, let's get to work. Right now, let's bring in our man and yours. Every Thursday, you can find him right here on Betting with the Bag. Let's bring in our man, Bobano, in the house. Bobano, what's up, my man? Bobano,
there we go. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I caught it before you did. Yeah, Jimmy. Good to be with you. Good to see everybody in the chat. Good morning. Hope you're having a good start to your Thursday. You were talking about that Arizona Dodgers under last night. I was on that as well. I'll tell you what. I'm not happy to pay for gallons of gasoline, but I am happy to pay for gallons of pitching, courtesy of Zach Gallen of the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's having a phenomenal year, breakout season, I guess you could say, for him. just spotless, just 2 runs or less in the majority of his starts. And he was very good again last night for the Diamondbacks. Of course, Walker Buehler was solid on the opposite end of that pitching matchup as well. So definitely nice to cash that, and a great play all around.
It was great work. We also destroyed the Jays game. I was on it full game. Just too much value with Ryu, and then
sounds like we had the same card. I had the Jays as well, and the under in that game,
Well, Noli Knows had the first 5 under 3.5, which I did not have. My marble balls came out, and I couldn't pull the trigger. All right, Bobano, we have a smaller MLB card, which is great, which means that Bobano can come on at the start of the show, break down all 8 MLB games. Then together we will break down both NBA games, and my run is extremely exciting. Now, I did go 2-2, down 0.40 units, lost the under in the first game, but that was just my third loss in 19 sides and totals in NBA, which I'm extremely excited about.
That's fantastic. 16-3. And I've had a great NBA playoffs as well. I mean, it's been unbelievable, the NBA. So it's great to see it from you as well, Jimmy. 16-3. That's a hell of a run. Congrats.
But in fairness, I've given a quarter of it back with some disappointing prop bets. So
yeah.
So it's not all.
You can talk to me about disappointing prop bets in that Houston game last night. Chris Paul just short. Russell Westbrook stuck on 20 when I needed 22 out of him. Oh man, that was brutal.
Yeah, it's funny that we should have been able to go to a Game 7 spot where we could have taken points, rebounds, and assists with Chris Paul, even though he hadn't been rebounding the ball or having any high assists. In Game 7, you knew he was going to dictate everything that the Thunder did until the last minute or two. But it was disappointing. I've made a move in NBA. We have 2 games there. Then we have 2 games in NHL, 2 very exciting games in Flyers, Islanders, and Knights, Canucks. And then NCAA football. I'm so excited that you're on the show for the first day of NCAA football. Central Arkansas Bears, UAB Blazers, and then South Alabama Jaguars, Southern Mississippi Golden Eagles. Going to be extreme. You're the perfect man for the job. Bobano, let's go right to work right now. And Dutch Boy Fresh said CP3 shot class 2 minutes. Claudio says, ask Bobano about NCAA. Don't worry. But we're going to go in the same order as always. MLB, NBA, NHL, and then we're going to close with NCAA football. Carlos Jetton says, Dort. There is Dort. Speaking of just being just not getting things right in prop bets, I backed Dort in Game 5 in the prop scenario and not in Game 6 and 7 when he completely – all right. Let's get to work. We're going to start with Cubbies, Pirates, little afternoon baseball for all of us. Look at the market right now. Alec Mills and the Chicago Cubs opening up at minus 165. They quickly go, well, not quickly, 5-cent move. 5-cent move towards the Buccos and JT Brubaker. And let's quickly see what this total is at. Here we go. The total sitting at 9.5. It was initially juiced to the over. It's come back to a pick'em. 70 Fahrenheit, rain in the forecast. 5 miles per hour, sideways in is the wind. Alec Mills, 3-2, 5.23 ERA, 1.16 whip. 7 home runs allowed in just 32 2/3, 24 Ks, 10 walks. And Brubaker has pitched okay. He's 0-0, but he's pitched okay. 22 Ks in 20 innings. High walks, 10 walks, 1.40 whip. Cubs are smashing right now. Happ at the top of that lineup is really making that engine go. Cubs versus righties, 236, 793 OPS. Pirates have nothing. Worst team in the league against righties, 201, 579 OPS. Pirates, Cubs, bullpen, both poor. Both ERAs over 5, both whips over 1.43. But the Cubs are going for a sweep. They've won 3 straight overall, 4 or 5, 17 homers in their past 6 games. Going against a Pittsburgh team that can't win. They've lost 5 of 6. Mills coming off an ugly outing, 4 hits. 3 of them were homers in 3 innings against the Reds on Saturday. And Brubaker looked pretty good against the Brewers. 2 runs, 3 hits, 5 innings, 6 Ks, 3 walks. Bobano, Cubbies, Pirates. This game coming at you in 3 short hours. Is there a move to make?
Yeah, I've been on the over in the first 2 games of this series, Cubs and Pirates. Cashed them both, and it's certainly my lean here. I haven't bet it yet. Don't know if I will, but my lean is absolutely over 9.5 one more time between these 2 teams. Again, when you get a team that's hitting day after day after day and has an offense in great form, a lineup that right now is smacking the cover off the baseball, like the Chicago Cubs are, you can start to maybe back overs with teams like that consistently until proven otherwise, until all of a sudden they stop hitting. And there'll come a time when the Cubs are going to go through a hitting slump again. But right now, the lineup is in unbelievable form right now. The 17 home runs as a team in their last 6 games. It's been an incredible run for the Cubs offensively. I don't really love either pitcher. I know Brubaker was better in his last start, but here's the problem, Jimmy, with Brubaker. You're not going to get innings out of this guy. 3 innings, 4 innings, 5 innings. What does that mean? It means it brings a bad Pittsburgh bullpen into play early in this game. And if Brubaker even holds the Cubs down early, Cubs can get to a really poor Pirates bullpen later in the game, a bullpen that's got a 5.01 ERA on the season. On the flip side, Alec Mills is not a pitcher that's, impressed me a ton. You look at his last 4 starts, 4 runs, 6 runs, 3 runs, 4 runs allowed, and only got through 3 innings against the Reds in his last start. Walks have been an issue for both of these guys. Home runs have been a problem for Alec Mills. He's given up 6 home runs in his last 4 starts, and even Brubaker gave up a home run in his last start. I'll keep it simple. I had nothing on the side. I'm still looking at the over. I'll certainly be considering it, and it's a strong lean for me right now.
Yeah, and your lean is being backed by Connor Mack, who will be on the show tomorrow. He also leans to the over. Matt Randall leaning toward the Cubs.
Here's my hesitation. I've had the over 2 games in a row, but night games I don't always love. In the final game of a series with 2 huge high-scoring games, the 2 previous games, a day game, the last game of the series, getaway day, early start. Sometimes I don't like always coming right back on the over again. So that's my only hesitation. But from a matchup perspective, we should probably see some runs in this game.
Yeah, no, I think that is perfectly put. I'm not going to get to the window. Also, rain in the forecast. Let's see if this site here thinks this game will even go off. And let me check that, because then if it's unlikely to even go off, I don't need to sit here and hum and haw. Yeah, no, it's just 20% chance of rain right now. Alec Mills, JT Brubaker, both susceptible. David Martin going to eat the juice on the Cubs money line. And Mitch Bruner says heavy rain on radar at first pitch. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm just going to move past that. Let's move on to Rangers Astros. Very good-looking pitching matchup here. Lance Lynn, Zach Greinke. Rangers just 4-12 on the road, going up against an Astros team that's just been costing me. I was just sitting there last night going, Michael Brantley hits that 2-run shot in the first inning. I'm like, okay, we're going. We're on our way. And then no more runs for the rest of the game. And I'm like, well, what is it? It's a vividness bias I have, and it's costing me money. And I must stop expecting this Houston team to hit. This total opened up at 8. It's now at 7.5. And Lance Lynn coming off a poor start for him. He's been spectacular all year long. This market opened up at 160. It is still at 160 right now. Let's get here. All right. Let's go. Lance Lynn, 4-1, 1.93 ERA, 0.92 whip, 51 in the third, 56 Ks, 17 walks, 6 home runs allowed. Greinke has looked very good this year. 2-0, 2.68 ERA, 0.94 whip, 35 Ks, 6 walks, real nice K walk ratio. Only 2 home runs allowed in 40 and a third. And they were both given up in his last start. So that was the first time that he'd really been touched. And same with Lynn, coming off his worst start of the year, 4 runs, 306 innings against the Dodgers. Took his first loss of the season, but we know that the Dodgers just smash righties. Lynn has great numbers against the Astros. Astros bullpen, 4.19 ERA, 1.56 whip. You know, they're not getting hit hard when they do allow hits. Rangers bullpen, 4.88 ERA, 1.42 whip. Rangers have no power against righties, and either do the Astros. The 237, 713 OPS. Rangers, Astros, take it away, Bobano.
Yeah, first 5 under, it would be a lean here for me. Again, I haven't bet it yet. I don't want to. That's the thing when I come on this show, 10 a.m. at this time of day. Some games I've bet, some I haven't yet. But I'm going to throw it out even if I haven't bet it, what I'm leaning on, what I would be considering betting. And in this game, it would be first 5 under with these 2 teams. I'll be honest, Zach Greinke, I had him circled bet against pitcher coming into this season because, to be honest with you, last year, after being dealt to Houston, I didn't find he pitched all that great. Down the stretch, the playoffs, he struggled a little bit. And early this season, I think the first start or two, he was kind of struggling as well. But boy, he's turned it around, and I just got off that train very, very quickly early in the season that maybe I better not go against Zach Greinke every single start. And no, he has been very good. There's no question for the Houston Astros. He's finally settled in a groove. 2.68 ERA, 0.94 WHIP. Opponents just hitting 215 against him, so he's done absolutely great for the Astros. And so is Lance Lynn for Texas. Here's the problem, though. His overall numbers are great, Lance Lynn, phenomenal. But we've seen him struggle last couple starts. 6 runs in 10 innings. Walks have become an issue. So I'm a little worried about Lynn, that either regression's hitting the guy a little bit, or he's just maybe just in a little bit of a funk right now. And it also bothers me a little bit that the Astros have hit him quite well in the past. He's not matched up well head-to-head against Houston. That's where some struggles have been for Lance Lynn. Nevertheless, though, I keep thinking to last night, if the Houston Astros can't hit that horrendous pitcher that was on the mound for Texas last night, because I thought they would, and they didn't, Lance Lynn's a step up. No, he's more than a step up. He's several flights of stairs up from that joker that was pitching last night for the Texas Rangers. So, if Houston couldn't hit him, I think even with Lynn struggling a bit in his last couple starts and historically a little bit against Houston, I still think he can come back here, pitch better. I think he's going to be motivated to do that because he knows he hasn't been quite as good the last couple of starts as well. And he's a veteran guy. He knows how to make adjustments, maybe with his mechanics when he's off like he's been in the last couple starts. So if I'm looking at this game, I'm going to look first 5 under. This could be a game where the starting pitching dominates early.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Let's see. Finally, the 5s came up on my book. Let's see exactly what I'd be dealing with here if I was to pull the trigger. A 4, minus 130 to the under. I just can't take that minus 130.
Normally with the first 5 unders, 3.5 is I really get leery of betting an under first 5 and 3.5 totals or lower, or 4 with juice, as you said there with this one. I actually did it with Toronto, Miami. It worked out there with that game last night. But just in general, with regularity, do I love under 4 minus, juice in a first 5 under, or an under 3.5? No, those are tricky. Those are usually when I try to pull back a bit.
And I will, although I understand it. I understand. There's perfect rotation in the house. We got JL, Tyrone, Coleman, Sebastian Talks, MMA, Ty Clinton, Chili Dog Dooley, Shane Schwader coming up a big winning night. Let's keep rolling. Jason Fulk says Texas weak bats tilt towards that first 5 under. And David Martin says, love it, don't be scared. And I will be scared. I will be scared enough to not bet it.
I was scared of all the bets I was placing in baseball prior to the last weekend because it's been a terrible baseball season for me up until the last Saturday, really. And things have turned around. I think the run has been phenomenal since Saturday, 20-7 or something. Like all of a sudden, baseball, it's coming around. It took a while, but we're getting there.
Well, good thing you're on the show.
Yeah.
Because I need guidance. I need guidance. All right, let's get to work. Nationals, Phillies. This was another Noli knows coming off a very successful day here on the show yesterday. He was on this first 5 under 84 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 7 miles per hour, out to right center. Nats, Phillies. Nats 10 games under 500. Those of us on the Nats season win total under. I know Connor Mack and myself we're in business. And so I took the Nationals team total under. I took the Mets team total under. And I legitimately wanted the Phillies team total under, but I was like, somebody has to win games in this division. You can't just take 3 teams team total under in a division. One of them is going to get there, and I stayed off the Phillies. And earlier in the year, I was like, wow, I could have done it. But now the Phillies are rolling 17-15, 2 games over 500, 13-9 at home. They're going for the 4-game sweep. They've shut out the Nationals on back-to-back days. Rhys Hoskins is absolutely eating. He was ice cold to start the year. 4 straight multi-hit games for himself, and this Nats team is falling apart. They've lost 5 straight. Now they have Anibal Sanchez. I took the over in his last start. Was shocked that it stayed under. He allowed 8 hits, 5 runs in 5 innings, and that was it for a 5-3 loss. I just bothersome. Brandon Lugos, let's go Avalanche. The breakdown of that game was, whatever. Felt good about it. Sanchez career against the Phillies, 6-11 with a 4.39 ERA, 25 career starts. Nats versus righties, 246, 724 OPS. Phillies versus righties, 263, 788 OPS. This Phillies bullpen is pitching better. This Nats bullpen is just middling. Let's see what we're dealing with from a market perspective. Phillies open up at minus 165. They're now minus 160. So a 5-cent move towards the Nationals at bet 365. And this total opened up at 10.5 at a pick'em. There's been a 5-cent move towards the over. Take it away, Bobano. Nationals, Phillies.
Yeah, this one I like the Phillies in the first 5 innings. I believe what I did here was I laid the half a run with this Phillies team in this game. I'm just going to see if I'll get you an updated price on that in just a second. But that's exactly what I did. Phillies first 5, laying the half a run. You mentioned the Phillies bullpen's pitching better, and they are, but I still worry about them. They could blow up at any minute. I still don't think they've got a great slew of relievers by any stretch. And if I can have the opportunity to take that bullpen out of the bet, I'm going to take advantage of that. So I'm on the first 5 here with the Phillies laying the half a run. Look, Eflin's a bit of an enigma, but I'm reading some positive things from him in terms of he's worked on his mechanics. He's actually really, really worked on his curveball, and he's getting more swings and misses and strikeouts with it. And he's talked about it. It's a pitch he's worked on, and it really has come through for him in the last, especially the last start that he had for the Philadelphia Phillies. Again, his overall numbers aren't great this year, 4.10 ERA, but he has been better. And his last start against Atlanta's a damn good baseball team. 1 run, 4 hits, 7 innings, no walks, 8 strikeouts. That might be a buy sign on Zach Eflin, because he talked right after that game about this change to the curveball and higher spin rate, a little more velocity, getting more swings and misses from it, a key pitch for him, big time. That's the kind of stuff you look for. These little edges, these little changes with these pitchers, during the course of a long baseball. Well, it's not long this year, it's 60 games, but, during the course of the season as it goes along. And we're seeing that now with Eflin. I have no faith in Anibal Sanchez. I have even less faith in him against a lineup that's crushing it right now like the Phillies are. Their offense, we know it's capable, and early in the season it didn't show it to be capable. They were struggling at the plate. They're not now. They're in great form at the plate, really. Everybody, even Harper. I bag on Harper a lot and rake him over the coals for not earning that money, that ridiculous contract he got. But even he's hitting the ball pretty well lately for the Philadelphia Phillies. So Phillies in fine form. Nationals aren't. You look at the Nationals, 0-5 in their last 5 games. I know I always sometimes don't like going against teams trying to avoid a sweep. That's sometimes a bet on spot, Jimmy, the team trying to avoid a sweep. But the Nationals are just in a really bad way right now. You mentioned their bullpen. It's gone back to really, really struggling. And with Anibal Sanchez on the mound, Nationals aren't winning, flat out. You go and look at the recent results. 1-6 for the Washington Nationals in Anibal Sanchez's last 7 starts. So I'm going to go Phillies here, first 5, and I'm going to lay the half a run.
Makes a lot of sense. First 5 minus a half at bet 365 right now is minus 130.
Yeah, I figured it was around that. Yeah, that sounds about right. I think that's what I got. Yes. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, minus 130.
Noli knows joining us in the chat. Mark Rosado ready to roll. We got Christ McCrae, Richard Holm. Great to see you guys, and great work yesterday. Noli knows a beautiful bounce back day. Viral Video says, love Phillies here. Best bet of the day. It all makes sense to me. Zach Eflin, 37 Ks and 26 in the third. You're right. If you have a team that's battling for a playoff spot or for something, then there's fight in the dog. They don't want to be swept. Yep. This Nats team is 12-22. 12.
Yeah, what fight could be left in a team that's already 10 games below 500? I know there's more teams in the playoffs this year, but even with that still may not even save this Nationals team at this point.
Chili Dog Dooley with a double up. Not for me. I'll just take first 5 minus a half. And watching Eflin when you have money on him is horrifying. And it's getting better.
He's been an enigma. Like the Phillies have been high on him for years. They said, we think a lot of this guy. We think he can be not an ace, but a solid 2-3 in your rotation. And he just at times has looked lost. He's had walk issues. He's had struggles. He's given up the long ball at times. it's been a assortment of issues for him. But, I think that might have been a buy sign on him that last start. That's a good Atlanta team. You held them to 1 run in 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, didn't walk a batter. Now watch tonight, 6 runs allowed in 4 innings, and I'll look like a jackass. But nevertheless, I'm going to ride it out here with Eflin and the Phillies tonight.
I'm in. Let's move on to Yankees Mets. This will be fun. 88 Fahrenheit, clear, 7 miles per hour, out to center field. Nice weather for offense. And we have J.A. Happ. We've talked a lot about his contract situation that makes him very upset. He needs to reach 10 starts or 61 in the third innings for that $17 million vesting option to kick in for next season. And nobody else is going to be giving him $17 million in the market. So the Yankees have been holding him back. Now it's his 5th start. This is just his 2nd start of the season with less than 6 days rest. But he looked very good in his last start. And I forget who the capper was in the chat who said Happ will shut them down because it would shut down this Met squad because Montgomery had just shut them down. And that's exactly what he did. 3 hits in 7 in the third innings, longest outing since June 6, 2019. So in his last 2 starts, Happ has allowed 1 run on 6 hits in 13 innings. And when he feels right that he can pitch well. Viper MB says Happ always implodes. And yes, we all have that memory of him. Going up against Gisselman. They're stretching him out. Let me make sure that's confirmed that they're stretching out Gisselman because there was some talk that might – no, they are. Okay, so Gisselman. And he has great numbers against the Yankees in his career. Last start, he went 4 innings, allowed to run on 4 hits, season high 57 pitches. Yankees are just 4-9 in their past 13 games. They need to win. They were on that big losing streak. It stopped with a 3-game winning streak against these Metropolitans. Yankees versus righties, 258, 100 OPS. I don't know if you can trust those numbers with the injuries they have to their big bats in the lineup. Mets versus lefties, 243, 749 OPS. Both bullpens are good, and the Mets bullpen is improving, like we expected at the beginning of the year when they kind of blew up early, that they were going to get better as the season rolled on. Let's see what we're dealing with. No market right now. Let me see if I can get one here. Yes, I can. It's a pick'em. And this total is at 9.5. Take it away, Bobano, Yankees Mets.
Yeah, this is probably a game I'm going to pass on. I'll throw out there that I was looking at the full game over. I was looking at the Yankees team total over because I don't like Robert Selman. I just don't. I think he's not very good. I know he shut down the Yankees. You mentioned he does have solid historical stats against the Yankees bats. He's not going to pitch deep into the games. I know the Mets bullpen, you mentioned they've been better, but do you want to really see a lot of their middle relief? Personally, I don't. So I got concerns here a little bit about Selman. But the thing is with Happ, you're right. I mean, he has been a lot better in his last few starts. I mean, you look at the last 2, Boston, 1 run in 5.2 innings. The Mets shut him out, 3-hit shutout baseball in 7.1 innings. The same Mets team he just faced a few days ago. So you always say maybe the lineup has better adjustments, better feel for Happ. They get to see him now twice in less than a week. But, yeah, to me there's a lot of moving parts. And as much as I want to fade Selman and take either a full game over or a Yank team total over, Yankees aren't hitting right now. You see 2 runs last night. Charlie Morton, old man Morton, just coming off the DL, or the IL, I should say, and he shuts them down completely. I give Morton credit. When he's on and he's healthy, he's a good pitcher, but that tells you all you need to know. The Yankees just have too many key bats out of this lineup right now due to injury. We've known about that for months now with all this is key artillery that the New York Yankees are without out now in their lineup, and it's just made a huge difference. It's a big part of the reason why they have struggled so much in recent games. I mean, good luck with the bats that they're without Stanton, without Gleyber Torres, without Aaron Judge. Just a ton of key bats in this lineup that they're without, and that's been obviously an issue for them. So I do lean some way of betting against Selman here, either with a full game over or a Yankees team total over, but I'm going to end up passing because I just don't know what I'm going to get game to game right now with this Yankees lineup.
Can't trust the Yankees lineup, and I guess the reason why we don't want to go under the total is because you're uncomfortable with them just seeing the opposition last week.
Yes, that's exactly right, Jimmy. It's one of the Happ was great, and maybe Happ's figured it out. We know Jay Happ, on top of his game, is a very good can be a very good pitcher. Even though it's a fly ball guy, sometimes he leaves the pitches up and out of them. When he misses his spots, he gets crushed. I mean, he's just he's not one of those overpowering pitchers with the high MPH on his pitches. So he has to hit his spots, and when he misses his spots, he can get crushed. And I think that was happening to him early in the season. He's made some adjustments. He's pitching well. But a lot of times when I see a pitcher shut down a team like he did to the Mets just a few days ago, a lot of times I try to make a case for the lineup to be a whole lot better and have a much better approach if they're facing that very same pitcher just days later, like the Mets are here. But not enough to bet it. There's a lot of moving parts, so I'm staying off it.
They're hot bats like Conforto or lefty bats that Hap should have no trouble with. McNeil, Conforto, Nemo, and Cano.
Yeah, you'd like to see a right-handed heavy lineup against a guy like Hap. You just don't have that option. There's many options in that regard when it comes to the Mets.
Yeah, and that's why the Czar was talking about the Frazier pickup being big. And John Garcia on South Alabama plus 375 tonight. Very exciting. There's our Cole
money. That's a money line shot on South Bama. Wow, we'll get to that.
And there's Cove Coleon, the Vegas King, rolling with us. Great to see you, Cove. All right. I think that first 5 under is interesting. I don't expect this Yanks lineup to be any different than it has been. And if Hap can slow down this, it's 5.5, Bobano. Think they get 6 runs in the first 5? I mean, 5.5 is pretty nice.
Well, that's the issue. This is a full game. This is a full season stats type of total, both the full game total and the first 5 total, because Hap's numbers aren't great. Selman's numbers aren't great, but Selman pitched well against the Yankees last time. Hap pitched well against the Mets last time, and he's had 2 good starts in a row. So that's my issue with the overs, the value there. There is probably value under, to be honest with you, because the current form of both of these guys, especially Hap, is better than where they put this full game total and where they priced and lined this first 5 total. So I do agree with you that the value's on the under. I'd be scared as hell to take it, though.
I'm not going to be scared as hell. I'm going to take the first 5 under, 5.5 here. Yankees, Mets.
And it's a day game. It's a late afternoon game, and sometimes, you get a little sluggish at the plate when you have these odd start times like this, especially late afternoon.
I like it. Okay, let's keep rolling along. We have just 8 games on the MLB card, but we're very excited to get into NHL, NBA, and NCAA football. Padres, Angels, 82 Fahrenheit, clear 9 miles per hour out to right center. We see Clevenger making his debut in San Diego, and our Paco Healy, a first responder down in San Diego, who's in the chat right now, has gone through many lean years. Nice to have some fat on that bone. Padres are a good baseball team now. Let's see, and could be a very good baseball team for a while. Let's see if I can find us a line here, and I can. The first 5 is at 4.5, going against Heaney, who had his first really good start of the season. You remember, he's an Angels opening day starter. He looked terrible all year. And full game, we have the Padres at minus 140, and this total at 8.5. And Jimmy Gomez excited, and Paco Healy says lean indeed. Shane Schwader says, Padres all day, baby. They have a chance to be a dynasty. And Paco Healy says, lay the run line. Clevenger, 101, 3.18 ERA, 1.37 whip, 22 2/3, 21 Ks, 11 walks, high K to walk ratio. And you have to wonder, these Indians who are so good at putting together pitching staffs, putting together bullpens, and not spending much money to do it, did not want Clevenger in the rotation. They wanted McKenzie in that spot, and they sure looked right last night. Andrew Heaney, 2-2, 4.62 ERA, 1.24 whip, 37 innings, 41 Ks, 13 walks, 2 homers. Padres smash lefties, 272, 837 OPS. Angels versus righties, they hit them hard, 250, 779 OPS. Padres bullpen improving. We talked about that on the show. I expect it to continue to improve, even with the injuries to Yates and Pomerantz. I think they'll continue to improve. Padres bullpen and Angels bullpen, similar numbers, but I do think the Padres bullpen is better. So now we see Clevenger. He missed 3 weeks for breaking the COVID-19 protocols. He came back August 26th, gave up 2 runs, 8 hits, 1 walk, 6 innings against the Minnesota Twins. Remember, that was a Twins team that was completely banged up and nothing like they even are now with Donaldson and Buxton back. 6 career starts against the Angels, 4-0 with a 2.94 ERA. He's even better in Anaheim, 2-0, 0.79 ERA. Remember, they drafted Clevenger. Maybe that plays a part. Heaney looked terrible and then pitched very well on Friday against the Mariners. 7 2/3, 1 run, 4 hits, 2 walks, struck out 10. Padres, Angels, Bobano, take it away.
Yeah, the trade deadline came and went on Monday. And I said that day, after seeing what the Padres did, and man, did they load up, I said, I'm betting this team every game possible moving forward. Every single game moving forward. And I did that at the end of the Colorado series, the last game against Colorado, which was that Monday night. And they won it going away. They crushed the Rockies. And in the first game yesterday against the Angels. And they won that game. It was close. And actually, they were trailing at one point with Lamet on the mound. But boy, they just crushed that horrible Angels bullpen late in the game, ran away with it 11-3. I'm riding Padres again today. A run line, absolutely. Someone said in the chat, and I'm happy for. I'm actually going to do a split bet. I'm going to do -140 on San Diego. I'm just going to be a little safer. Half on -140, half on the run line, -1.5 plus 110 here with San Diego in this game. I'm happy for Paco Healy, Chris Edge, all those guys from San Diego. You've had a lot of tough years with the Padres, but they're going for it. And if you see their dugout and their clubhouse the last couple of games, there's energy. People are yakking it up with one another. There is some positive vibes and a lot of confidence coursing through the veins of this Padres team right now. That's not confidence I'm going against. Michael Clevenger fired up for his first start as a Padre, and he's been awesome in August. What's he given up? 4 runs in about 20-plus innings this month. He's been absolutely sensational. I know the Angels fare better against righties, but still, this is a lineup that against good pitching can be shut down, in my opinion, because outside of Trout and Rendon, nobody else has really been consistent at the plate for the Angels. On the flip side, I'm not buying Andrew Heaney's turned it around for one good start against a lousy Mariners team. Sorry. You're going to be facing a real lineup and a really, really good baseball team here. Let's see you do it here. And as you mentioned, Jimmy, they're crushing lefties this season, the San Diego Padres. Fernando Tatis Jr., how much fun is it to watch this guy? He's absolutely outstanding. Machado's starting to get the bat going. He's kind of underachieved in San Diego since they got him, but he's getting it going. Hosmer's been really, really good. This lineup top to bottom, a lot to like with the Padres. They've got a good bullpen. They've got the far better bullpen. You can't even compare these two bullpens in this game and in this series. Yeah, no problem laying the $140. I'm going to split it up. Half on a $140 with San Diego and half on the run line at -1.5 at plus 110. This is a team I'm just riding every game. This could be one of those 13-2, 14-2 kind of runs coming for San Diego. It sure feels that way to me.
Yeah, interesting. Jid Rummy saying Angels opened at plus 150 at some books and came all the way down to plus 120. Interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me, the line movements in any sport, to be honest with you. It really doesn't. It doesn't factor into it for me a whole lot. I like San Diego. There were some people that – I think San Diego, there was one game earlier this week they bet against them a little bit, or some money came in against them, and they ended up winning the game. So, again, does it bother me? Not as much as it might bother some other people. I still just do my own handicap, Jimmy. I do my own thing, and I just let the chips fall where they may. I'm confident in the work I do, and if the line moves, in the direction of the team I'm going against, so be it. So I'm on San Diego. Like I say, I'm riding this team. I think there's something. Could be a really big run for them coming up, because the energy with this team right now, it's palpable.
Yeah, no, I absolutely get it. Question from JL. He says, "What do you like better, Bobano, full game or first 5?"
I don't mind the full game. I'm going full game here because I want the advantage of the San Diego bullpen against the Angel pen. The Angel pen is horrible. There's no doubt San Diego's got a massive advantage with their bullpen. So for this game, I'd prefer the full game.
Understandable. And, I mean, the market move gives you a better line. So, all right. Padres, Angels, our Bobano bullish on the Padres. And the Czar making a move on the Angels, first 5. I'm just going to leave a question mark beside the Padres, and let's keep rolling. Moving on to a double up for me, the Toronto Blue Jays. I know it's a travel day, but I think that Taijuan Walker is excited to be on this young ball club and be a leader on this young ball club. Taijuan Walker's gone through a lot, and this is a perfect team for him to lead by example. And he looked very good in his last start, and I expect him to continue that. 74 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 3 miles per hour, sideways in. Now, I've faded Martin Perez often, and it hasn't always been glorious. And he looked better for a little while there. And I know he claimed, he's an innings eater. He's a bulldog. He just wants to eat up innings for each team. He's dealing with a blister right now, and that's why he was not in his last, or he left his last start early, I should say, August 28th against the Nationals. He's got good numbers against Toronto, but this is a different Toronto team. And this team hits lefties hard, 266, 780 OPS. And I want to back the Jays even on a travel day. Lazar says Perez scares me today. Joe Yurkovich got Toronto minus 120 in his pocket. Mr. Wisdom is on the Blue Jays first 5 minus a half. I didn't take the run line in either my first 5 or full game bets. They weren't giving me enough for that. It was 20 cents, only 20 cents on the first 5 for minus a half, and that's just not enough to take away the push. And it was 25 cents on the full game because they're the road team. Matt Randall says double taint Thursday, Blue Jays money line, White Sox money line. I'm backing the Jays and Taijuan, and Mr. Gokster tailing the first 5. I think that the full game should be utilized because of how strong this Jays bullpen is. 3.10 ERA, 1.26 whip, going up against that Red Sox bullpen, 5.65 ERA, 1.52 whip. Take it away, Bobano, Jays, Red Sox.
They have been a good bullpen, and they've been without Ken Giles, their closer, for weeks now. And Jordan Romano stepped in as a big key reliever for them, and he's injured too. And yet the bullpen has still kept up for the Toronto Blue Jays and gotten the job done. Anthony Bass has done pretty good in the closer role, filling in for Ken Giles. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm on Toronto here. I just went money line. It's crept up a little bit. There's going to become a point where maybe you may want to go run line or first 5 instead, because it's up to minus 135, even some minus 140s starting to show up now in Toronto. So they're taking money, and I can see why. I mean, I don't mind fading Martin Perez one bit. He is not a guy that I trust to get the job done. Blue Jays are hitting lefties well. Blue Jays as a team, during this little run that they've put together, their offense has come through in the clutch, and the resilience factor for this team. They've won so many games where they've come from behind to win as well during this great little 5-2 stretch for them in their last 7 games. You're right. I don't mind the travel spot much going from Miami to Boston. Perez, 4.58 ERA on the season. Jay should match up pretty well with him. Bullpen edge has to, even with the Giles out and Romano out, there's still been a Jays bullpen that's been very solid. Look what they did last night. They shut the door on the Miami Marlins for 3 innings after Ryu left the game to preserve the 2-1 win last night against Miami. So that bullpen's pitching well. And even with 2 key relievers out, it's still a better bullpen top to bottom than Boston's. Boston's just got a horrendous bullpen. It's been that way all season long. Yeah, and Taijuan Walker, I'm telling you what, maybe he needed a change of scenery. You're with a lousy team, Seattle. You didn't always get run support there. You got this young group. It galvanizes you. It energizes you. I think he fed off that in that first start that he had as a Jay against Baltimore over the weekend. He was very good. He looked like he had some bite, some movement on his pitches that was really, really good to see. And I think he's going to relish this opportunity to play for a team that's got a very good chance to be a playoff team this year. I like him to go in there, get the job done. I'm just going to go straight money line here. Toronto minus 135. I agree with you, Jimmy. I'm on this one as well.
I like it. The Claudio S. Blue Jays team total 5.5. What do you guys think? I don't dislike it, but I don't need to get to 6 runs to win this game. Even though the Red Sox offense is strong and they play the Jays tough, I think that I'd be more comfortable. I think the most comfortable of all these bets is Jay's full game when you can use your huge bullpen advantage.
I agree.
Second, first 5, third team total. I prefer that the least, personally. Let's keep rolling now. We got Robert Allen in the house. THC, RZA, ready to get to work. We got 2 rolling with us. Great group. And Tony Mang says, what would Bird do? That's the real question. He'd get a 6-pack and go down to the beach. Okay, let's talk White Sox Royals. 77 Fahrenheit clear, 9 miles per hour in is the weather. Thank you, Sebastian Talks MMA. Thank you for joining us. We're Cease versus Duffy. Cease versus Duffy. And Cease opening up at minus 140. He's now minus 145. This total is at 9.5. And this is tricky we're dealing with this in the Mets-Yankees game, and I tend to overthink these situations and handle them poorly. And that's just, we've seen the opposition before. We've seen them recently, and Danny Duffy looked pretty good when he saw the White Sox last. 4 runs, 3 earned runs, 7 hits in 5 2/3 against this White Sox team that smashes lefties, 303, 948 OPS. Duffy looks stronger this year, but who wants to face this lineup, the number 1 lineup in the league against lefties, a second time? Now the wind helps, 9 miles per hour in. Royals don't hit righties hard, 229, 692 OPS, and both bullpens are good. Second straight for Duffy against these White Sox, and then the same is for Cease. Second straight start for Cease against the Royals. No decision his last outing, allowed just 1 run on 1 hit, but he walked six batters. So he threw 93 pitches and was done after 4 1/3. Very interesting spot here. White Sox, Royals, take it away, Bobano.
Yeah, there's no way I bet against Chicago against a lefty. What are they, undefeated still? I believe 12-0 this year against lefty starters. Chicago White Sox, undefeated against lefty starting pitching. Danny Duffy, yeah, he's been serviceable at times this year. And yeah, he was all right, decent. Last time he faced the White Sox, let's see him do it again. That's what I say about that. And I think you get the White Sox here getting their teeth kicked in by Minnesota last night, 8-1. Lost the last 2 games of that series against the Twins. Remember, the Twins actually had a closed-door players meeting prior to the second game of that series when they were really, really struggling. They won that game, finally snapped the losing streak, and then they had the momentum from that win, and they rolled it into last night with Berrios on the mound, and they just crushed the White Sox 8-1. I think it's a good bounce-back spot for the White Sox here. I don't usually like using that term, bounce-back spots, when hitting handicapping baseball, but I think this makes sense for the White Sox. Royals offense has gone to sleep the last 4 games, 2-2-1-0 in their last 4 games. They've scored 5 runs total in their last 4 games. That's not going to get the job done for this Kansas City team. This is a reasonable price here with Cease and a White Sox team that just crushes lefties like Danny Duffy. No problem laying -135.
Yeah, it's a reasonable price. You're absolutely right. A reasonable price. Vizar says Kelly and Duffy are the 2 pitchers you play if you're betting Royals. CT Bays joining us. Great to see you, CT Bays, on White Sox run line. And as you know, we've last 2 games here have been the taint plays of the day. Double taint Thursday. Matt Randall on the Jays, also on the White Sox. The vaunted road favorite just gives me a ton of trepidation.
One thing I might, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do White Sox money line. I'm going to split it up. I'm going to do half on that. I'm going to do half on the team total for the White Sox as well, because you're right. There's a part of me that says, what do we get from Cease potentially in this game? I probably would prefer a little bit as well on the White Sox team total, which is 4.5 -130 at Bet365. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go half on the money line, half on White Sox team total over 4.5 -130.
Yeah, Joe Yurkovich asking where Gogster found that team total, and I believe it's going to be right here at Bet365, over 4.5 and -130. Prince of the Sea says, there's the Jimmy I know, hesitant and trepidatious is what you'd say.
No, he wasn't with the first 5 under in the Yankee game, so he's not always trepidatious there, Prince of the City. He was ready to rock with that one.
I am.
Happ and Selman. You're brave, because I don't like either guy, but hey, we'll see how that goes.
Strategic Investments has a very good point, and I have this at the very bottom of my numbers here, and I didn't say it. Jorge Soler left the game with oblique irritation. Very unlikely to be in the lineup. Thank you for mentioning that, Strategic Investments. And David Martin is on the Royals. Steve Priest, White Sox 11-0 versus the left-handed pitcher.
Oh, I said 12-0. I was off by 1 win. Yeah, 11-0. But still, an unbelievable record for them against lefties. Undefeated.
Yeah. I wonder why Cease was so uncomfortable pitching to these guys. He's allowed 8 home runs in 36 innings and 27 Ks, 18 walks. He doesn't need to be that perfect. I don't know why he was trying so hard to be that perfect.
There are 3 teams in baseball against lefties: White Sox, Nationals, Padres. I'm going to need a damn good reason to bet against them when they're facing a lefty. That's all I'll say.
No, I hear you. I absolutely hear you. I'm hesitant. Okay, let's move on. I get it. I guess I don't want to be sitting here. I don't want to be sitting here at the end of the day with just a bunch of road favorites. And maybe that's simplifying things that's not needed. But I don't want to do that. So I like the Jays a lot. And as I told you, I mess up these spots where the pitcher is just seeing the opposition. And Noli telling me to drop the purse, man. I'm not, man. I'm keeping my purse close to the chest, man. No one's getting my purse. All right, let's move on to the Diamondbacks Dodgers. 82 Fahrenheit clear, 6 miles per hour out to right center. And there's A. Hilly with college football looks. We can't wait to talk college football. We will be doing that very, very soon here. All right, Diamondbacks Dodgers, 82 Fahrenheit clear, 6 miles per hour out to right center. We have this huge favorite in the Dodgers. Kershaw throwing 94 again. Looks awesome. 1.80 ERA, 0.77 whip, 33 Ks, 4 walks, 5 homers allowed. But still, he's looked very, very good. Opens up at minus 270 at bet 365. Quickly takes on 20 more cents to 290. Weaver has looked awful so far this year. Still nice 34 Ks and 27 in the third, but man, he's getting touched. 1.5, 8.23 ERA, 1.76 whip, a full 100 points over Kershaw's whip, 0.77 to 1.76. Dodgers won 9 straight at home. In 4 or 5 starts, Kershaw's given up 1 run or less. They just look so good. And Arizona looks so bad. They lost 12 of their last 13. They couldn't get it done last night after that incredible Gallen performance. Cody Bellinger has missed the past 2 games with a sore muscle in his right shoulder. Real video saying no Bellinger and no Turner, but still, the Czar said should be minus 400. Diamondbacks, Dodgers, I've made no move here. Are you making a move, Bobano?
Yeah, I'm going to lay the run line with Dodgers. I mean, this Arizona team is just Fate City. I mean, there's no energy. They're finding ways to lose. It does bother me a little bit taking the Dodgers run line, knowing a lot of these losses, you mentioned it, 12 of their last 13, several of them have been by just 1 single run. You know, they have been right in there in some of these games, Arizona, but not with this pitching matchup. I mean, people ragging on Clayton Kershaw, maybe a little bit, negative toward him after last year, but he's bounced back strong. He's pitched very well. His velocity's actually gone up ever so slightly this year, Clayton Kershaw. That's a positive sign. You talk about a guy that's been pitching for as long as he has had a couple injury stints. The fact that he's actually uptick on the velocity at this stage of his career is a positive sign. You mentioned Weaver. He's been awful for the most part. Dodgers have had a good track record against him, and just a crushing loss for Arizona. I mean, you actually battled this team to extra innings last night. You go up in the 10th inning, top of the 10th, and you lose it in the bottom. Just a gut punch loss, another one for Arizona. Kershaw should have a good time of it against this lineup. And on the flip side, even without Bellinger and Turner, their status is up in the air. Dodgers have enough bats against struggling Luke Weaver, I think, to get the job done. So I actually didn't mind laying the price here. Again, I'm with you, and someone in the chat said it. This line in the money line should probably be closer to minus 400. Given the Dodgers, how good they are, an elite team, and how just abysmal Arizona is in this free fall, you could argue this should be closer to minus 400. So even a run line of minus 140, laying the run and a half here with the Dodgers, I don't mind it. I pulled the trigger.
I absolutely get it. We have our Joe Yurkovich saying that one side is Caleb Smith starting. In that case, I would bet it listed pitchers must start. Because if Caleb Smith comes in, we know the Dodgers don't hit lefties nearly as hard as they hit righties. You'll get a better line.
Yes.
So if you're making this bet, click listed pitchers must start. Cordero, Lindsay joining us. Great to see you, Cordero, on Dodgers first 5 under. I'm going to stay off the Dodgers. I'm going to stay off. Paulie C says, how about them Avs, baby? Where all the Hutch haters at? Well, I had to go for a walk after that first goal was allowed, and then I heard the Avalanche score at the end of the first period, and I came back. But I had to go for a walk with that first goal let in. But look, hey, I'm bullish on the Avs.
We'll get to that. Let me just say one thing about that. We'll get to hockey later. Michael Hutchinson was staked to a 5-goal lead in Game 5. And yesterday, it was better, but they played a airtight game in front of him. I want to see him get a couple of grade A chances, stop them in a Game 7 on Friday night. Then we can start anointing the guy.
I don't want to see him have any grade A chances against us. I want just these. Fucking D's.
I understand why you would think that, yes.
All right, let's review our MLB action. Bobano, take it away.
All right, MLB action here. I am going to pull the trigger on the Cubs-Pirates over 9.5. I was on the fence with that. I'm going to go ahead with that. That'll be my first official play. Phillies, first 5. Laying the half a run minus 130. I'm on that. I'm on San Diego minus 140 and San Diego run line minus 1.5 plus 110 split bet. Toronto minus 135 against Boston. Chicago White Sox minus 135 against Kansas City. And I am on and a team total over 4.5 minus 130 with the White Sox as well. And I'm on the Dodgers run line minus 1.5 minus 140.
Great stuff. Jungle Boy, we capped each and every one of these MLB games as we do. We start with the earliest games and go to the late games as we do every day. So that game is being capped. All right, let's go. Claudio says Kershaw strikeouts 5.5. What do you think? Wow, 5.5. I wonder what the juice is on that. I'd have to go over I'd have to take a closer look at how he's been, because 33 Ks in 30 innings. If the Diamondbacks, I'd have to study that a little more. I couldn't say just offhand. Is that something that you would look at, the Ks over for Kershaw?
Yeah. I wouldn't talk anyone. I certainly wouldn't tell you to take that under. No way with him against that feeble Arizona lineup right now. And the other lean I had was that first 5 under with Texas Houston. I'm staying off that for now. It's a lean still, but for now, staying off it.
Absolutely. Great stuff. And we have Speak Your Mind Sports Talk joining us. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us, my man. All right. My action is not very much. Phillies first 5 minus 0.5. Yankees Mets first 5 under 5.5. And then I doubled up on the Jays first 5 full game. That's it for me. That is my action. All right. Let's move on to the NBA, the association again. We talked about it off the top. It's as hot as I've been in NBA sides in total, 16-3 over my last 19. But overall, the season has not been as good as the last 2 years in front of you guys. I'm not at double-digit plus units yet. I'm 153 and 133, hitting at 53.5%, 20 games over 500, but just up 8.72 units. ROI plus 3.05%. My average line is minus 108. Yesterday, 2-2. We hit with the Thunder plus the points. We hit with the Heat plus the points. Lost in that first game. Under, it went over, and lost with Chris Paul, lost with CP3 on the over 21.5 points. Probably should have gone points, rebounds, and assists. Let's get to work. I was with Dennis. Yeah, split the unders yesterday and won with Miami money line. Dennis, great stuff. Dennis said before the series started in that Heat Bucks series that he was going to bet the Heat money line each and every game. And look at this, 2-0. For Dennis Garcia. What a great capper he is. Okay, let's get to work. Bobano, we are starting with Raptors, Celtics, and man, so there are cappers out there who are praying that some of us are going to keep betting the Raptors. Now, I haven't bet them in the first 2 games, and we said right off the top of the series that the fact that the Raptors were minus 130 is a mistake. It should have been a pick 'em for this series. Corey Simmons says Celtics sweep. A lot of cappers are talking like that, but I am close to pulling the trigger on the Raptors, not because I'm just a big fan. Let's talk about pace. Let's talk about market. Let's break this down. First off, spreads, totals. Let's break that down. Raptors are now a pick'em at one book, -1 everywhere else. Total opens up at 214, is now 215. We cashed on the under in game 2, and it was very simple. The pace of game 1 was at 105 possessions a game. We knew that was going to go down. That was the only way that Nurse would make adjustments. There was one way we thought that Nurse would make adjustments, slowing down the pace. That is exactly what happened. During the seeding games, Raptors pace 103.69, Celtics 101.06. In the playoffs, Celtics pace is slow, 97.58. They looked so good in game one, running like crazy because the Raptors weren't expecting that. And we made adjustments in game two. What are the adjustments going to be made in game three? Celtics have won 6 straight. They've beaten the Raptors all year long, 5 of their 6 matchups. So Toronto's 0-3 against the Celtics in the bubble, 11-0 against everyone else. But we've been here before. The big thing is that there's no Kawhi. So Siakam has got to man up. He's got to be the guy because we know that Lowry and Van Fleet will step up, but we need Siakam so badly. But we fell behind the Bucks 2-0. We had a 12-point lead in the third quarter. And I don't think – now, I love Marcus Smart. He's a gamer. He's someone you want to go to war with. But he's not going to do that again. He's not going to completely turn the game around on his shoulders again and hit, 5 straight threes and gorgeous threes and completely take over the game. I don't expect him to do that again, and I want the Raptors. Bobano, Raptors, Celtics, take it away.
Yeah, I'm going to be small on the Raptors. I'm going to be on the Raptors, sure, but I'm going to be small on them, half unit. That's it. Because to me, Boston's got better, really some advantages. Their athletic wing players are causing the Raptors fits. When you got Brown, Tatum, and company, it's hard for the Raptors. The Raptors are having trouble getting right up in them to contest shots right now. And that's difficult. There is some size advantages that the Celtics have on the perimeter. That's made it very difficult for the Raptors to overcome them. That being said, this is backs against the wall time for Toronto. You're going to get whatever their best effort is and best game. I would think tonight's the night you see it. Let's not forget something very important here about game 2. Toronto's on their way to winning that game. Well on their way to winning that game. Late third quarter, they're up double digits. They didn't finish that quarter strong. Boston got the lead under 10, start the fourth quarter. But even then, they're up by 8 or 9, comfortable enough position, just get back to playing. Things are good. And then bam, 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 like a bunch of bullets being fired at you and hitting you right in the chest. 5 3-pointers and the 3-point barrage that is Marcus Smart happened in the fourth quarter. And it completely changed the game. All right? If you take out that 3-point barrage sequence, Raptors win that game. I'm sorry, they win that basketball game without that. That completely changed the game around, completely. They don't win that game without those 5 3-pointers in a row. Several of them, I might add, were contested. It was not really bad defense by the Raptors. It was just unbelievable offense and unbelievable shot making by Marcus Smart, who just got ridiculous for that stretch of time. If without that, Raptors win that game. So that's the thing. That the play's the thing was something that Dave Malinsky, who rest in peace, said. The play's the thing. And in game 2, the plays were the thing. That 5 in a row 3-point barrage for Marcus Smart completely changed the game. It energized the Boston bench. You saw the reactions of the Celtic players. Every 3 that went down, they're jumping out of their seats on the bench. They're going nuts. They're enthusiastic. Boston ramped it up. They said, hey, Marcus Smart's brought us right back into this game. We can win it. And sure enough, they did, and the Raptors sagged. Raptors' energy level dropped like a stone after all those threes went in. So you got to remember that. You know, it's not like Toronto played a horrible, horrible basketball game in game 2. It was a situation where all of a sudden one guy gets red hot, just can't miss, even with a hand in his face. What are you going to do? I still believe in this coach, Nick Nurse, to make the adjustments. Again, I'm concerned this is just a bad matchup for Toronto. So I'm keeping it small. I'm not in love with it by any stretch. But in this spot, in a game that I thought they played more than good enough to win, Toronto's worth a bet of some kind here in game 3. And I will say this, at some point the pendulums have to swing for Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet. You know, obviously 3 for 19 or whatever it was the other night in game 2 combined. That's got to change for sure for the Raptors. I think it's overdue to change. I don't love it, but in this spot, at this price, still around pick 'em money line with the Raptors is something I got to go with.
I agree. And I agree with this chat as well. We have a very, very intelligent handicapping chat. And Razor Sharp saying, and others in the chat saying, the issue is the 3-point line. And the issue is that the Celtics defend the 3-point line.
I can't tell you I'm in love with the Raptors, and I'm telling everybody, don't unload on the Raptors today. But I have to take some kind of bet on them given the situation. And I think they played well enough. They deserved a better fate, I thought, in game 2, but it doesn't work that way. You still got to win, and they didn't.
I need Siakam to step up. But Van Fleet and Lowry and Siakam, none of them have hit 20 points in the first few games. And the 3-point line, the Raptors have made 21 of 80. And there have been open looks. It's not like they're completely covered all the time. Toronto shooting 38.5% compared to the Celtics shooting 44.7%. Cordero says, if I'm taking the Raptors, I'm taking them early. Okay, I'm not pulling the trigger yet. I want to continue talking about this spot, and I want to talk about props. But let's move into the total situation here, Bobano. This total opens up at 214 at Bet365. It's now at 215. Do you have a lean?
I lean over. This is one of those situations where 2 unders in the first 2 games. The Raptors shoot incredibly bad in both games, especially, of course, game 1. It was just horrible for them in that game. It's another one of those situations where often you see the first 2 games stay under and the same team win the first 2 games. A lot of times when I think the other team might win game 3 to make it 2-1, I sometimes look for the total to reverse itself and go over. And, of course, you're seeing an adjustment, right, in terms of this total. For a game 3 tonight. You know, the Raptors and Celtics game 1 total was closer to 219, 218.5. Same with game 2. And now you're seeing 217. So you have seen a slight downward adjustment. So I just think situationally, Raptors, I think, will step up offense. They have to. I mean, it's time for some of these guys that can shoot, are capable of shooting much better than they have in this series so far. Freddie was okay, and he was at least a little bit better in game 2. Kyle Lowry, though, has got to shoot better. Norm Powell, where's his offense gone? They need more out of him in terms of his offensive game. Marc Gasol, I'm not going to wait around for him to get going offensively. As long as he defends and rebounds, I'm okay with that. I think his offensive game's just declining, eroding a little bit in the latter stages of his career. But especially Lowry and especially Powell. Those are 2 guys offensively that got to get it kicked up a notch or 2. At least for the Raptors. So just given the situation, I lean to the over. I haven't pulled the trigger. I doubt I will, but if I'm betting the total, I'd lean over. You're getting a deflated total, and I think some of these percentages for the Raptors have to go up at some point.
Wow, by the way, there's been a big move. I wonder if this is just a Bet365 thing because it's such a, there's so many Canadians on this book, but wow, -2 for the Raptors, a 20-cent move. -135, they're now on the money line. Wow, you can now get the Boston Celtics at +115.
Wow.
Ooh, well, that's going to stop me from taking the Raptors right now. I guess I could take the -2. Okay, let's go quickly into.
I'll say this quickly because we're not going to talk about Miami-Milwaukee. They're not playing today. This could be Miami-Milwaukee in the other East series with Boston, where just Boston's the undervalued team, mispriced from the beginning, and you just ride the Celtics every game. Maybe that is that way, but I think Toronto's got a little bit more intestinal fortitude than Milwaukee. Okay, part of the reason why I took Miami in game 1 and I did come back with Miami again in game 2 is I think Milwaukee is flat out gutless. I think they're gutless. I think they're a soft team. I think you can be honest to me, this isn't big-time basketball from a guy that thinks he's the MVP of the league the first 2 games of this series for the Milwaukee Bucks. Missing free throws, getting in foul trouble, just bad plays, turning the ball over, treating the basketball like a hand grenade. That's not big-time basketball from the Greek Freak in that series. And I think Milwaukee's a little bit weak mentally, a little bit soft, push them around a little bit. You got these Jay Crowders and these Jimmy Butlers, these real street tough basketball players on this Miami Heat team. And they're bullying the Bucks in the first 2 games. I think the Raptors at least have a little bit of pushback in them and more of it, and will show more of it against Boston, perhaps than Milwaukee will against Miami. So even though I believe in the mispriced series line and game-to-game line in that series, I'm not quite as on board with that thought process here with Boston-Toronto. But I will say this. If you bet Boston game 1 and you bet Boston game 2, this could be a mispriced series situation here. I wouldn't talk you out of taking them again in game 3 if you've been on them the first 2 games as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Let's go to a quick player prop perspective, and we got to move quickly because we still have the Nuggets game. We have NHL, and we still have NCAA football. But I know this game is near and dear to our heart. Gasol has not looked good while he's been on the floor. He's overcompensating for his lack of offense by really pushing hard defensively. 6 fouls yesterday, last game in 21 minutes, which makes Ibaka a bigger piece. 17-9 for Ibaka last game, and I expect more of the same. His points and rebounds are at 22.5. His points are at 14.5. Is there anybody that you would make a move on in the player prop situation here, Bobano?
I'm going to go I'm going to go Tatum for Boston because Walker as well is kind of interesting for me. He came alive in the fourth quarter. How good is Kemba Walker? I mean, we talk about Tatum and Brown, and they've been great. Even Daniel Tice. I mean, this guy's given them way more in that front court than anybody thought. He gave Embiid more fits in the first round than people thought. But Kemba Walker had a brutal first 3 quarters. Tells you what a professional he is. He had a brutal game, brutal 3 quarters in game 2. All he does down the stretch is make one big shot after another. Somehow say, you know what, I've stunk, I've had a bad day, but late in the game, my team needs me, close game, I'm going to get the job done. Kemba Walker did. I'm kind of interested in his point prop over because I think he'll play a more complete, better game today. Same with Tatum for the Celtics. And from a Raptors perspective, I don't mind the Ibaka over made threes. That's worth a look at because, again, they're going to leave him open. I think they're going to cover other players and maybe give him those opportunities. He made them in game 2. He could make them again here in game 3. Lowry and Powell are the value props for me from a Raptors perspective, just because I think they are in need of getting things going offensively. Kyle Lowry is going to have to be more assertive, go to the basket. If his 3-point shot's not working, take it to the basket, and he will. And I think Norm Powell, who has shown me enough this season, Jimmy, that when he gets it going, he can be one of those players like a Marcus Smart. When he starts feeling it, getting in rhythm, he can just go on a run where he makes 5 of 5 or 7 of 8 from the floor. I think he's due for one of those games today. And that's where the value is. Their player props from an over standpoint have been deflated because of the struggles in the first 2 games. So value toward Lowry and Powell over points, in my opinion.
I like it. We have the great Paul Thompson in the chat, a spectacular thoroughbred capper. I'll be back on Saturday, full day of horses on Saturday, Paul, starting at 10:45 a.m. Eastern. And I expect us to break our 10.5-hour record from last week, or last big day we had for the Traverse Stakes. Saturday, big day. I agree. It's a funny market here at Bet365 for these player props. First off, Tatum is at 26.5, and it's heavily juiced to the under. Minus 150 to the under. Plus 110 to the over. Kemba at 21.5. It's the other way around. Heavily juiced to the over. I agree that Lowry has to step up. He has to. He simply has to. I also agree that I think that the 2 guys I could see stepping up are Lowry and Ibaka. My issue with Lowry is I'm just not certain that it's going to be from a point production standpoint.
Right. It could be an assist facilitating standpoint. I hear you. It could be.
His assists and rebounds are at 13.5, and that's juiced to the under.
I'm going to be on Norm Powell. I mean, he's 9.5. Can you not get to 10 points? I mean, I really think he's someone that has the potential to step up and has to, in my opinion, because I can't bank on Lowry all of a sudden getting his shot going today as much. Powell stepping up, helping out Fred, that's going to go a long way. And 9.5, again, we've seen this. I think Powell, because I remember hearing someone say this, he was 13.5 as point prop in game 2, and all of a sudden it's down to 9.5. So that's value I'm not passing up. with a guy that I know is capable of having a good game shooting the basketball.
Shane Schwader loves the Powell look. By the way, threes for Ibaka, 1.5, heavily juiced to the under. Very strange. Powell's at 9.5, and Shane Schwader loving it. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and hum and haw because I could. We could sit here and talk about this game for the next 30 minutes, but I plan to make a move. And thankfully, we have more.
Right, Jimmy? There you go. Jimmy, make your move. Step across the line. Bet another game. Come on, dare me. There you go.
But I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes thinking about it. So let's move on to Nuggets Clippers. I've already made a move here. And again, a lot of this depends on which team dictates pace. But let's talk Nuggets Clippers right now and see what we are dealing with. And I can't wait for this series. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love every series the Clippers are in. They're a fun team to watch. This total opened up at 223. It was up to 223.5 in some books, still 223 to others. There has not been a big move. Bet365 opened up the Clippers at -8. Now they're -8.5. The pace of the Nuggets in the 8 seeding games was 97.5 possessions a game. They went into the playoffs and drastically slowed it down. Slowest pace of any team, 92.83 possessions a game. Clippers were at 100.32 possessions in the 8 seeding games. That was far slower than they were in pre-COVID NBA. And then they increased their pace slightly in the series against Dallas. Slightly, 102.55. And Dallas likes to play at a fast pace. I thought it was very, very interesting that the Clippers' pace only slightly increased. So now we have a Denver team that's exhausted. You have to think that Malone's going to play the bench in a spot like this after becoming the 12th team in NBA history to come back from a 3-1 hole. They also have Gary Harris, who's extremely important to their basketball team, but he hits bricks. He shoots bricks. Guy's a bricklayer. That, again, I think slows down the offense. And then Leonard is spectacular. He was incredible in the last series. Paul George did not step up. Leonard did. 32.8 points a game, 10.2 boards, 5.2 assists, shot 53.8% from the floor, but just 29.4% from three, which is something we should watch. Patrick Beverley is expected to be back. Again, I expect that to slow down the pace. With that all being said, I love 223.5. I'm not afraid to make a move on that. Under 223.5. David Martin says over deadbolt. Now, again, judging by pace, I'm going to cash this. Judging by the way I expect this game to bang out, I'm going to cash this. Nuggets, Clippers, Bobano. We have Speak Your Mind Sports Talk. Great NBA capper says Nuggets on the points is a play. I actually think the Dogs win here, Jimmy. Gut feeling. Viper MB leaning to the over. Take it away, Bobano. Nuggets, Clippers.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, and it's always, which side of the fence are you on? Does Denver ride the wave of momentum and energy and emotion after a thrilling Game 7 win against Utah and coming back from 3-1 down in that series and just ride the adrenaline wave into Game 1 here tonight against the Clippers, or they hit a physical, mental, and emotional wall in this game? There's a lot of people that think the latter, that they're going to hit that wall. Because this opened Clippers 6, it's up to 9. There's been a 3-point move toward the Clippers. I actually jumped on LA at 7.5, and I didn't even get the best number. And it actually went up further after that. So I'm actually kind of content that I got it at -7.5, even though I missed out on the initial opener with the Clippers. I just have a really, really tough time believing Denver's in a good spot here. I mean, that was just a thrilling comeback. They were down 3-1 in the series, left for dead. They exerted a ton of energy, played heavy, big minutes, minutes that put strain on you, especially a guy like Jamal Murray, who had to be a beast in Game 5, who had to be a beast in Game 6, has to come back in Game 7, and he looked a little fatigued then in Game 7. And thankfully, he has teammates like Nikola Jokic, who was just absolutely brilliant in Game 7. 30 points, 14 rebounds, just an outstanding performance from him. And they needed that because Murray didn't have his A game. And then I see on Sports Center with SVP Scott Van Pelt after the game, the interview with Jamal Murray, and he broke the news to them, you're playing 48 hours from now, Game 1, and his reaction was priceless. We're playing Thursday? We don't have 2 full days off? Man, that's a bummer. That's not a bet on quote for me. I don't want to hear that out of Jamal Murray going into game one of this series against the LA Clippers. That's almost like a tell right there that we're gassed. We're exhausted after that Utah series. And now you're going to be facing a team that defends probably three flights of stairs better than the Utah Jazz do. Yeah, it's a tricky spot. I could see laying the points, but I'm concerned now at 9. Like, 9's a steep number. I understand the situationals are really in the Clippers' favor potentially tonight, but it has really gone up to 9 now. We're at a point. It's at the current number now where I'm a little bit hesitant to lay 9 in this game. What I do like about the Clippers, Jimmy, is Game 5 against Dallas, Game 6 against Dallas. That was Clipper defense coming back again. They played a lot better. Fourth quarter with the game on the line in Game 6, they shut down the Mavericks. They got stop after stop. They neutralized Luka. They held the Mavericks for the first time in that series to under 100 points in that Game 6 win. And guess who's back? Patrick Beverley tonight for Game 1 for the LA Clippers, who is arguably one of, if not their best defender, to be honest. He's that good at the defensive end of the court. He gets right up in your grill, in your face, contests shots, doesn't give you an inch of room most times. He's back from the calf injury tonight for Game 1. Yeah, this is just bad spot all around, I think, for Denver. I laid 7.5. I would still lean Clippers at -9, but I am worried that number's getting pretty high. And I remember Game 1 against Dallas where Clippers didn't play that well, and they barely covered, and that was -6 in that game against Dallas in Game 1. But I can't take Denver. I just think there's a brutal spot for them. -9, I'd still lean Clippers. Totals-wise, I'm off this game. Small play on the Clippers, but this is not a game I have a super strong opinion on. I'm going to have a small Clipper bet, and I'm going to see how this game plays out and maybe come back with something stronger in Game 2.
I was very successful this year on backing the tired team on the second half of a back-to-back in the first quarter. So I'm certainly not sitting here thinking this exhausted Nuggets team is going to look bad right off the start. If anybody could look bad in the first quarter, it's the Clippers, who've been off longer to me. Now, the difference is we're in the bubble. So it's not like the Clippers went out and were partying for a few days. And that will keep them sharper. There's no doubt in my mind that will keep them sharper. And that has changed handicapping, knowing that these guys aren't out in the strip club. They're out partying. They're not out in the clubs. So that leads me to believe that Clippers will be more focused than they might be if it was a regular world out there. So I'm on the Clippers Nuggets under, and I like it a lot. It's maybe I'm confident in the play. It's certainly not my best bet of the day because it's a Game 1 of a series, and we have so much to learn about how they're going to play each other. Dennis Garcia says if Denver slows down the game under, if LA Clippers blow an exhausted Denver team, have to lean under. Exactly. And just judging by the way the Nuggets have been playing, they're going to slow down the pace, 92.83 possessions a game. There was only one team in the regular season that was under that, and barely, and that's the Charlotte Hornets. Remember how slow they played.
See, then you have to ask yourself, with the pace that Denver played at in the Utah series, why was that series 5-2 to the over in 7 games? And why has Denver been this, 13-2 to the over team in the bubble? And here's why. Utah played very fast. Quinn Snyder said it before that series. We're speeding it up. We're playing at a faster tempo. That's one factor. Second factor is both teams shot ridiculous from three-point range in that Denver-Utah series. Third factor is both teams in that series went through extended parts of that series not playing a lick of defense. Not playing any sort of defense. Denver was terrible defensively early in that series. Utah's defense disappeared for extended times in that series. That's how you got that 5-2 over in that series, because of those three factors. Utah played faster even though Denver didn't. Both teams shot the lights out from beyond the arc, and both teams struggled to play consistent defensively at that end of the floor, and that's how you ended up 5-2 over. But you're right, the pace numbers for Denver are indicative. Don't align with this 13-2 over run that they've had since the plate resumed in Orlando. It's kind of weird.
Well, it was something that Intex, when he was destroying the totals, talked about in our chat. These guys are in the bubble, and they're practicing. And all of the shooting percentages went up. So what we saw happen was the pace slowed down compared to what was happening prior to COVID, but the scores went up. So very, very interesting stuff, Bobano. Great breakdown. I'm on the under 223.5, and I like it. And I'm not going to make a move on a player prop in game one of that series. I'm close to pulling the trigger in this Raptors. And look, I want Lowry to step up badly. I want him to step up badly, and I think he can. But I think the player that I have the most confidence in playing a big role is Serge. So I'm going to take over.
Viper MB makes a good point about be careful now laying 9 now that it's gone up by 3 points for the Clippers in this regard. No travel for Denver. Even though they're exhausted physically, mentally, emotionally after the Utah series, still don't have to travel. They can sleep in the place they're familiar and comfortable with. At least we hope they're comfortable sleeping for the last month or so, and not have to get on a flight, travel, get off the flight, do all that airport nonsense. Maybe that at least somewhat can help Denver's chances tonight.
Very important. It's different now. Everything's different. No travel, no going back and forth, different days. It's very, very different. Then we get to this Lowry spot.
Well, we got breaking news in the chat. Seattle Seahawks apparently have signed Josh Gordon. So there you go.
Oh, nice.
There you go. Trying to bolster that receiving core. That team's going to have a lot of skill position talent this year. That Seahawks. I can't wait for NFL. 1 week away.
Over 22.5 points and rebounds for Ibaka. And that's it for me. That's it. I'm not going to pull the trigger on Lowry rebounds and assists, but I do think he can get it. I'm not going to make a rebounds and assist bet with the way the Raptors are shooting from outside. And I can expect them to change that. But until they do, I'm only on Ibaka over 22.5 points and rebounds. And then I'm on the under 223.5 in Nuggets Clippers. That is our NBA breakdown. But Bobano, can you review your NBA action?
Yeah, everything's small. Half unit, both plays. Raptors, money line. I took it minus 125. It's gone up a bit. But even at minus 135, I recommend it enough to bet it. And Clippers, I got minus 7.5. I don't know. Do I go ahead and say make it official at minus 9? I'm a little leery now of that number where it is. I'm going to keep that from an official play at minus 9. At 7.5, okay, but not at 9. Just to lean to the Clippers there.
All right. Great stuff. That was extremely enjoyable. And, I love capping all sports, and we do a nice job of it here, but I don't find anything more enjoyable than capping the NBA. We really get to know these players, and also it helps having a team like the Raptors that are so easy to cheer for. Let's move on to the end. I'm not on the Raptors at this point.
Oh, the Norm Powell prop. I'll make that an official, too. Norm Powell over 9.5 points. I can't resist that.
I like it. Okay, let's move on to NHL. A juicy win for the Avs. I'm not going to get pumped up yet. I doubled down after game one. Took the Avs to win the series at minus 125, and I need it. So, and I didn't take the Avs to win the series before because they were minus 250 favorites, which we said was ludicrous. But I still think they're the better hockey team. Let's talk Flyers, Islanders. This is fun. Game 6, baby. Game 6. And I was very hesitant to pull the trigger on the Flyers. You guys make fun of my hesitance. I should have last game. I didn't. I certainly didn't take the Islanders, but I was so afraid of fading the Islanders. Flyers pull it off in overtime. Let's see what we're dealing with right now. From a money line perspective, Islanders open up at minus 115. They're still there. Slight favorites. This total sitting at 5. Dennis Garcia says Tampa Bay is beating both these teams. William Pawlowski says Islanders win, in my opinion. Ravi Patel says Flyers got it. Johnny K says Flyers have the momentum. Detroit, what? Going big on these Isles. And Slats 45, very, very, very important is what Slats saying. Barzal and Couturier, questionable. So let's talk about what happens if they are out. So that Anders Lee, Jordan Eberle line, we've talked about how good Lee and Eberle have been, but it's Barzal. He's the straw that stirs the drink. So if he's out, they bring in Otto Koivula. They move Pajot to play with Lee and Eberle. They also can use Brassard and Komarov in different ways. But this was not supposed to be Couturier's hockey team. This was supposed to be Giroux's hockey team. And I know Drew has been silent for a lot of the playoffs, but he's moved back to center without Couturier, and I expect him to step up. Speak Your Mind Sports, thank you so much for joining us. It was great having you in the chat for NBA Talk. And Ravi Patel saying Delaware Park Sportsbook is open. Beautiful. So are Von Polo, because he's leaving, I guess, today to go hang out there. So Raffle, Bunneman, and Frost are the options. I expect it to be Raffle. I expect Giroux to move to center, but there's a lot of moving parts. One is the Flyers aren't scoring on their power play, and not having Couturier is not going to help. And the Islanders' power play numbers are going down, and Barzal missing is going to hurt. Take it away, Bobano. You've been white hot in the NHL playoffs. Flyers, Islanders.
Yeah, give the Flyers credit. I mean, this is a good hockey team. They've had a good season. They've been awesome since the start of the year. January is when the hot streak started for them, when they came out from being out of the playoffs and got into the playoffs. And, Carter Hart's been great. They've been really good defensively. Provorov is going to be a cornerstone defenseman for a very long time for the Flyers, no question. And Alain Vigneault called out Giroux and James Van Riemsdyk prior to Game 5 and said, we need more from you. And I know Giroux is one of those guys that does everything for you. Face-offs, penalty kill, everything. It's not just that he gives you offense. He does the other things. But they needed his offense. That's what he was getting at. We need your offense because we know you've got the offense. We know you've got the goal-scoring production in you that we need at a time like this. And he stepped up, scored a goal, a key goal for the Philadelphia Flyers in Game 5. James Van Riemsdyk, who's been in Alain Vigneault's doghouse most of the last few months, he stepped up and scored a goal. So it worked, calling out those guys. They played better. That being said, if you're Philadelphia, you had a 3-1 lead in that game in the third period, and here are the Islanders that make it 3-2, tie the game 3-3. You can't hold the lead, goes to overtime, and if not for 2, maybe even 3 at least, Carter Hart dazzling saves early in overtime, we're not even talking about a hockey game here tonight between these two teams. It would have been over. He was outstanding early in overtime. Next thing you know, Scott Laughton gets the deflection goal in overtime. You mentioned it, Jimmy. Their power play is still very bad, Philadelphia. And when I look at this series, I've watched every minute of it. I can tell you right now, the New York Islanders have had the better offensive depth. People still think this team can't score goals and that they're only defense-minded and they only can play these low-scoring games. That's not this Islanders team. Barzal, hopefully he plays. Lee, Beauvillier, Nelson, Eberle, Pajot. What an acquisition he's been from Ottawa. This team has depth, and their top players are showing up offensively way more consistently than the Flyers' top players in this series. Defense has been pretty good on both sides, but I love that Islander defense, with Leddy and company. Pulak is a good Pelech. I mean, these aren't household names, but they're so good, all of them. Devon Taves has really shown himself to be a really good defenseman as well. I like that Islander blue line. Varlamov's played good. Hart's played great too. I mean, defense and goaltending in this series has been pretty close. Slight edges to the Islanders in both, but it's the offense where the big edge has been toward the Islanders. I think the series is over tonight. I like the New York Islanders here, and we are seeing a pattern with the Islanders now. The last 2 series, the Florida series and the qualifying round, they failed in their first attempt to eliminate Florida in that series. But then they had the second attempt in Game 4, and they bounced back, and they played a complete dominant game to put away the Panthers. The Washington series in the first round, they stubbed their toe, the Islanders, their first attempt to eliminate the Washington Capitals, who stayed alive with a 3-2 win in Game 4. What happened in Game 5? The second attempt to knock out Washington, the Islanders got it done and shut out the Capitals. I think it was 3-0 or 4-0, I believe, in that game. And they played a great game. Here we go again. Second attempt to eliminate an opponent. And for the third straight series, I think the Islanders get it done on that second attempt to eliminate a series opponent. I like the Islanders here.
I agree. And I think the Couturier loss is much bigger than the Barzal loss. And Barzal might still play today. And I do not think Couturier with the knee injury plays. I agree. I wish I had pulled the trigger on the Flyers because it just felt like Vigneault was going to get them amped up and ready to go. Detroit, making such an important note with Konechny with 0 goals.
Yeah, he's been a huge disappointment. I mean, for him to now go, 5 games in this series, not a single goal, it's been a really big disappointment. They need more from him. He's a great player, a great goal scorer for them in the regular season. Even in the Montreal series, he chipped in a little bit. Absolutely nothing from him. That's got to change. That's got to change. Simple as that, because the Islanders are getting all these different forwards chipping in offensively for them. Flyers need that same kind of secondary production. Simple as that if they're going to extend this series.
And I'm going to pull the trigger on the -1 on the Islanders. I'm going to go for a score here. Allow overtime to give me the push.
That's never a bad option in an elimination game, because especially the team that's trying to eliminate the opponent, because you know the opponent's going to pull the goalie earlier when they're trailing late in the third period, and you can have all that time with the empty net if you need it to get that 2-goal margin. These are games where to get that extra value and get that bigger payout, sometimes it's worth that shot to go Islanders, say puck line -1, -1.5 here. I'm going to be more conservative, just stick with the money line, but I totally get why people would go for the bigger value in a spot like this.
Yeah, well put. Chris Hummerman says big X factor could be Lindblom stepping in. I don't mean to, throw water on that great thought, but he's not coming in. He's not coming into Game 6 of the playoffs here. Just him being in the dressing room is enough.
Yeah, for an emotional this guy hasn't played a hockey game in months. December. All right, December's the last time he played in an NHL game, and you're going to throw him in there in an elimination game when he hasn't participated in training camp on ice activities or scrimmages or any game situation for going on 9 months now. No, I can't see it. I just can't.
They're still laughing at me for saying dressing room. I will not be intimidated. When it's hockey, it's a dressing room. Okay, let's move on. Islanders -1. Let's move on to Golden Knights Canucks. Bobano, is there any way that Travis Green goes back to Markstrom? It has to be Thatcher, right? It has to be Thatcher. The last thing I want to do is cap this game completely with Thatcher Demko as the goalie after that spectacular performance and see Markstrom between the pipes. Is there any chance that it's Markstrom?
That we don't really fully know what the hell's going on with Markstrom. Was it rest? Was it an injury the other night that kept him out against the Vegas Golden Knights? But nevertheless, we know Demko was awesome. It's a tough call. Travis Green seemed to intimate in the post-game press conference that it was just to give Markstrom a little extra time, heal up, rest, whatever the case may be, and that if he's ready to play and feels good enough to play, he's playing tonight in Game 6. So I'm going to guess Markstrom, but it depends on how he feels, and maybe we do see Demko again. But I think Markstrom. I think if Markstrom's good to play, he's playing. That's there.
Darnell Wilson, what up, my man? Yes, we do have the double taint Thursday. Blue Jays money line, White Sox money line, double taint Thursday. So I want that first period under 1.5. I won't take it with Markstrom. I'm interested in the under 6, and I won't take it with Markstrom. And the Canucks can win. You can beat teams getting outshot 2-1 if you pounce on mistakes. If you play sort of the way the Knights play, where they counterattack, they focus on the counterattack, you slip up, and they have an odd man rush, and they hurt you with it. And the Canucks are capable of doing that with the way Quinn Hughes is playing from the back end, looking for those outlet passes to Besser and Pettersson that are playing so well, and JT Miller being the kind of player we've always dreamed of having. But we've never, as I say, JT Miller kind of player we've always dreamt of having, it's Quinn Hughes. He's the guy. And when we were in COVID, I wrote an article on odds.com about how the Canucks are bet on in 2020-21 I didn't think at that time that NHL was coming back. I was like, this team is bet on. They're not going to re-sign Markstrom. They're going to free up a little bit of money because we're still paying off money for Luongo and shit like that going against the cap. But it is Quinn Hughes. And we've seen that with the Colorado Avalanche. No matter how great Heiskanen is, when you see Makar and Girard out there all game long, that's how you succeed. And I know Shea Theodore is playing so well, and Nate Schmidt maybe not as good as he was pre-steroids. Golden Knights, Canucks, I can't make a legitimate move that I want to make until I know that Thatcher's in net, because with Thatcher in goal, you saw them last night 2 nights ago, knowing that the save was going to be made. And it changes the way you play. You play with a little bit more comfort. You can keep them to the outside. Let them shoot away from the outside. Who cares if you look up and the final shot total is 45-20? What matters are the goals. Golden Knights, Canucks. We have the Knights at minus 240. It's crazy. And the total at 6. How do you see this banging up, Bobano?
I think the series ends tonight, but I'm with you, and there's no way I lay minus 240. I do think it's done tonight, but I'm not laying minus 240, and I'm not even taking Vegas on the puck line at all. I'm off the side completely. I can't go against my notion that I truly believe Vegas finds a way to end it tonight, but I'm also not completely ruling out the heart and the resilience and the guts of the Canucks. And this is a team I respect enough where I've not bet against them in this series. In fact, I bet on them, I believe, in Game 2 of this year. That's the one time I bet Vancouver, and they rewarded me. Because I figured after the shutout loss, we have seen them respond very well offensively and in terms of winning games after being held to 2 or less. And they did that in the Game 2 performance. Vancouver is – Thatcher Demko's getting a lot of praise for his performance. He deserves it. He was really good. But part of the story, and I'm glad you mentioned it the way you did, Jimmy, Vancouver Canucks boxed out that entire game. I mean, Thatcher Demko was seeing a lot of the shots coming toward him. He was seeing the puck all night. They were doing a great job of clearing the front of the net, keeping things to the periphery, and that played a big role in the performance too. This wasn't all Thatcher Demko standing on his head. The Canucks really did a good job giving him some easier shots to have to face, to have to handle in that Game 5 win. I think that's changing tonight. Every comment from DeBoer, the head coach, comments from Marchessault, Stone, after the game, we made it too easy on them. We didn't get traffic. We didn't get off after the rebounds in front. They got to those loose pucks in front of the net. We didn't. We need to change that in Game 6. They know what they have to do. They got to get right in the grill of Demko or Markstrom, whoever's in net tonight, and just make life miserable on them. And I think they will. And the one thing about Vancouver is when they've brought it defensively one game in these playoffs, they've had a hard time bringing it defensively the next game. They've fallen off, and they've started to give up these great chances again and make mistakes with the puck and turn it over. And with Vegas, I think, coming after them offensively even more assertively and even more aggressively tonight because of what happened in Game 5, I could see Vancouver fumbling with the puck, turning it over, and there's Vegas getting those grade A chances tonight that they didn't get in Game 5. I think they'll probably get on the board first. That's going to open the game up completely because Vancouver's facing elimination. There's no tomorrow. If they fall behind, and I think there's a chance they might early in the game, regardless of who's in net, it'll lead to a more wide open game. And we've seen that this is one of those series where it's been a high-scoring game following a low-scoring game and a low-scoring game following a high-scoring game in this series. That's the way it's trended from a totals perspective. I think that trend continues. So I'm on the over in this game, over 6. Minus 110. An elimination game, I don't mind it because you could always get the extended empty net late in the game to get you at least to 6, if not more than 6 goals in this game. I'm staying off the side completely, but going to go with that because I think Vegas is going to be much better offensively. The long-term over track record for Vegas and the long-term win-loss track record for Vegas after being shut out or held to 2 goals or less in a game the previous game is ridiculous. I think they're like 9-1 or 10-1 alone, the last 11 in this situation. So I think they're going to bounce back offensively. At the same point in time, I don't think Vancouver's getting neutralized or shut down completely either. I could see their offense getting it going because they've just got too many weapons. They're all playing well. Horvat, Pettersson, Miller, and Besser. If Brock Besser gets going and shows that deflection goal in Game 5 maybe takes the monkey off his back and he relaxes and he gets back to playing the offensive game we know he can bring to this team, that adds another dimension to this Vancouver offense. So I'm just going to stick to the total, playing it over. The side, I'm going to root for Vancouver. I'd love to see a Game 7. I'd love to see this team make it interesting and take us to a Game 7. And I'd just love to see a Game 7 because it's going to force Peter DeBoer to maybe consider Marc-Andre Fleury. Because if Leonard loses back-to-back games, I would think Leonard's back in tonight. If he loses back-to-back games and this goes 7, he's going to have a sleepless night, Peter DeBoer, thinking, do I stick with Leonard for a third straight game off 2 straight losses, or do I go back to the guy that's beloved with this team and this organization and this city and Marc-Andre Fleury? I just want to see a Game 7 just to see DeBoer have to make that decision and have a sleepless night thinking about it.
I love it. And we've had very similar betting spots in this series because I only bet Game 2 and bet on the Canucks and took that cash. I got plus 185, took $370 and was very thankful. But I'm on a different feel here with this game. And I would not talk you guys off. A lot of people in the chat are on the over. I would not talk you off that. But I think first period is going to be tight. And if Thatcher's in goal, I'm on the under 1.5 first period at plus 115. And I'm on it confidently. So I think this first period is going to be very tight. And the Canucks know what worked. Keep them to the outside. Let them shoot away. Counterattack.
So, for what it's worth, if I'm looking at an under in this game, I would prefer it earlier, not later. I think second period it would get going, and third period for sure. You could see an explosion in the third period, so there's no doubt. Yep. If I'm on the over, I want full game. If I like the under in this game, I would prefer it first period. So that would be my way to go.
Well put. I like it. And quickly, Bobano, Claudio S., whom we love in the chat, wants to know if you have any look on player goal props and if there's anyone you're looking at as you've had great success with them.
Yeah, for Vegas, I'm going to stick with they didn't get it done the other night, really, but Marchessault, Stone, and Tuck are the 3 guys I would target for the Vegas Golden Knights. For Vancouver, I know Besser. I'm tempted by Besser because he got that goal. I might bet Besser just because he finally got a goal. Maybe he's going to be free and easy and confidence coming back again. Besser, Horvat for sure in a big game like this. He seems to find a way to step up. Pettersson, Pettersson's feeling it right now. I wouldn't talk. Those would be the 3 I'd focus on for Vancouver. Besser, Horvat, Pettersson in terms of goal scoring props for Vegas. Marchessault, Stone, and Tuck for them. The Islander game, Beauvillier. I think Beauvillier has been a little bit more quiet the last game he was. I think Beauvillier is the one I'd look at for the Islanders' goal scoring.
Agreed. Great stuff from Bobano. I'm on the Islanders -1, and I will be on the first period under 1.5 at plus 115 if Thatcher is in goal. All right. Now we go to NCAA football for the first time in a long time. How enjoyable is this? Ravi says, recap your baseball moves one more time after this. I will absolutely, Ravi. And we've really enjoyed having you in the chat. Ravi, big balls for Ravi today. He's on some big dogs out there in baseball. And I get it. And Rich G says, look at that huge market move in the Padres-Angels game. Lots of interesting stuff in a small 8-game card. All right, NCAA football. We have the right man, Bobano, here on the show. We start with Bears, Blazers, Central Arkansas versus UAB. UAB 20-point favorites. You can get them at 19.5. I should probably switch my opener because I've got Bet365 that comes out so late with these. Let's see what we're talking about from a total perspective. We are sitting at 48.5 or 49.5, depending on where you shop. And there's Corey Simmons, Gooch play of the day. White Sox money line. Steve Priest, White Sox, Dodgers parlay. Okay, so UAB gets their season started. So last year, they win Conference USA's Western Division, and then FAU destroyed them 49-6 in the championship game. Then in the bowl game, they lose 31-17 to Appalachian State. They were 9-5 overall, 6-2 conference. Going back to Central Arkansas, they've already had their warm-up game against Austin Peay, who's bad. So they didn't look very good. They win 24-17. They give up a 75-yard touchdown run on the first play from scrimmage. Maybe they get the kinks out. Austin Peay only generated 27 rushing yards for the rest of the game. But UAB will be a much, much tougher opponent. Much tougher opponent. Kira Crossley, 110 yards, 1 touchdown, 13 carries last week. And then we see what Braylon Smith can do. For UAB, they led Conference USA, ranked 8th nationally in total defense and passing defense. This is going to be the most crucial part of this game, and I can't wait to hear Bobano break it down. But they're returning most of their players. They have all Conference USA caliber cornerback Bronte Harris, who missed last season with a foot injury. He's back. They have outside linebacker Jordan Smith, who's back as well. It's their offense that's the problem. They scored 23.1 points per game last year, 102nd overall, 105th with 351.9 total yards. And Tyler Johnston is good. So what was the problem with their offense? Can that change this year? Big favorites to start their year against Central Arkansas. Take it away, Bobano. Bears, Blazers.
Yeah, to me, from a spot perspective, this is a terrible spot for Central Arkansas because they played Saturday. They're playing Thursday now on the road. Short week. They didn't look that impressive to me against Austin Peay last week in that FCS matchup that was televised. They got a lot of attention because it was the first official college football game of the season. Their offense got going. The quarterback's got potential for the entire season for Central Arkansas. When you talk about Braylon Smith, he's a guy that, I thought he played well late in that game, but boy, he's taken a huge step up in class here against UAB defensively. UAB was a very, very strong Conference USA defense last year. They're going to be just as good, if not better. This whole team, they bring back 18 starters from last year. This is a team that is going to be really, really good defensively. Can Spencer Brown, the quarterback, was kind of up and down last year, inconsistent, play better. We know they've got a good run game. Central Arkansas does have a solid run defense, though. I mean, that is one of the strengths of the Central Arkansas group. They're decent against the run, and this is more of a run-heavy offense for UAB. At least last season it was. I expect it to be more of the same this year. I just hate this spot for Central Arkansas. I had UAB circled, but the line where it is now is getting a little out of hand. I mean, almost 3 touchdowns now in terms of UAB as a favorite. With a team that's very good defensively, but to me has still got question marks offensively in terms of you got to put up points if you're going to cover this kind of number. We'll see if UAB is ready to take that step forward offensively after last season when they were inconsistent on that side of the football. But I'm going to need to see it first. I can tell you I don't want Central Arkansas. They had an easier opponent, and they didn't look impressive. They barely got past Austin Peay in that game, 24-17. Now they're facing a much better defense in particular on a very short week, Saturday to Thursday. Now the flip side argument is they've got a game under their belt. UAB doesn't. So you could also say that as well. Noli knows in the chat saying under. I wouldn't argue with that. I would lean under the total as well. But again, I like the favorite, and that doesn't always necessarily correlate to under. So it's a really, really tough game for me. I lean UAB, I lean under, but will not even get close to betting it.
So the issue with Johnston last year, 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. So he's got big play receivers in Austin Watkins Jr., but clearly the issue was the turnovers. Does that give you an expectation that the Blazers are going to play conservative football here, knowing that they're just that much better than Central Arkansas? Is that why the under looks like a spot?
Yeah, and UAB's got some bigger games and bigger opponents on deck, right? I mean, this is an FCS team. This is FBS UAB versus FCS Central Arkansas. So this could be one of those games where the offensive game plan and the offensive playbook is a little bit more vanilla. You try to keep things simple. First game of the season, too. Let's not forget that. To me, it's under or nothing. I don't want the over in this game. It's just that UAB against this Central Arkansas team offensively should be able to do damage. The question is how much damage, because this offense was erratic last year. But all the reports, if you read, think the UAB is going to turn a corner offensively this year. That remains to be seen. This is just one of those games. I'd rather watch what I get from UAB because I think I'll get the defense from them. So yes, from a totals perspective, it's under or pass, but I just decided first game, I'm going to watch it, observe, see what we can use moving forward.
I'm going to move on the under. I don't have a line at Bet365. I'd love to get that 50 that Dennis got. I'm going to make a move on the under. It just fits.
Yeah, Central Arkansas struggled early offensively against Austin Peay, and they eventually got going in the second half, put up 24, but you can't compare Austin Peay defensively to UAB. The UAB was a rock solid. Again, we're not talking Power 5 like an Alabama type defense, but we're talking Conference USA, the smaller conferences in terms of that caliber of defense, they've got it UAB. So we'll see if Central Arkansas. They do have a dual threat quarterback. He's capable for Central Arkansas, but it's a good tough matchup for them against this kind of defense in this game. And on a short week, again, Saturday to Thursday, tough situation travel wise as well.
Yeah, it is there. My bad. It is there. 50. I like it. I want to get that 50. Let's get this show over so I can go bet it. All right, South Alabama Jaguars at Southern Mississippi Golden Eagles. Southern Miss was 14.5-point favorites. They are now 13.5-point favorites. This total is climbing. Opens at 53, now 54, and 54 and a half. 54 and a half for Southern Miss. We will see what Jay Hobson can do with Southern Miss this year. They have Jack Abraham, who will help. The issue with Southern Miss, and the reason why I guess it's gone from 14.5 to 13.5 and could get lower, is their defense has lost Rasheem Booth and Shannon Showers. Both have transferred. So Hobson brings in 13 junior college transfers, JUCOs, to fix things. But that's a big loss. So now Southern Miss is down to 4 returning starters from last year's group. Not good. Not good. Now let's talk about the Golden Eagles. Minus 11 turnover margin last year. Their top receiver, Watkins, goes to the NFL. And Jalen Adams opts out. The Jaguars, 5-19 over the last 2 seasons. Can they be trusted? Now, one thing that we expect to trust with South Alabama this year is their defense. Their defense improved huge last year and is expected to make another big improvement. Riley Cole, Nick Mobley, A.J. DeShazer, all coming back to a group that's expecting so much more. Their offense was bad. 18.4 points a game, 5 yards per play in 2019. They had Desmond Trotter come in for the last 4 games, and he looked better. So it looks like they have a starting quarterback. Southern Alabama Jaguars, Southern Mississippi Golden Eagles. Bobano, what do you think here?
Yeah, this is one of those games that I'm really glad I bet it early with both my side and I'm involved in the side and the total in this game. I took South Alabama 15 on Monday. It's down to about 13 and a half. Look, South Alabama was 2-10 last year. Everybody will see the record and think, what a garbage football team. And they had a terrible season for sure. And it was a tough go for Steve Campbell, the head coach. But if you watch South Alabama in the first half of the season, they had a terrible one of the worst offenses I've seen of any team. I know it's a Sun Belt team, but their offense was brutal. I mean, the quarterback was inaccurate. They couldn't move the ball. It was 3 and out too many times. It was turning the football over. It was stalling or fumbling in the red zone time and time again. It was a deliberate, slow-paced, run-heavy offense that wasn't doing anything for South Alabama. But then the last 4, 5, 6 games of the year, they make the quarterback change to Desmond Trotter, who is also the starting quarterback tonight for this season opener. And things changed big time, not only in terms of the productivity of the offense, but the pace. Started playing a little faster. They incorporated some tempo, some faster pace, getting to the line of scrimmage quicker. And Desmond Trotter got this offense out of the doldrums last year. You look down the stretch, that's when South Alabama started playing more competitively. 4-1 against the spread to end the season last year. with Trotter under center. They scored 27 or more points in 3 of their last 4 games for a team that was barely cracking 20 points for the majority of the season. So this South Alabama team, I think based on the way they finished last year strong, and they beat Arkansas State, in their final Sun Belt regular season game last year. Arkansas State's always been one of the top teams in this conference, and South Alabama beat them. I think there's legit confidence and carryover coming into this season. He's back at center. He looked good in camp from all reports. And you mentioned it, Jimmy, about Southern Miss. Their defense is rebuilding. They've lost a ton. Now, that was a good Southern Miss defense last year, but they've lost key players on all 3 levels of the defense, the D-line, linebacking core, and the secondary. They have new coordinators on both sides of the football, Southern Miss, coming into this season. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. That's tough enough learning with new coordinators and new schemes and new systems on both sides of the football. That's tough enough to deal with in the first game of the season under normal circumstances. Under COVID circumstances, with less camp time, less opportunity to come together as a team and practice and get things right and in sync, that's even more difficult. So I'm worried for Southern Miss here. I think South Alabama could be one of those. They're not going to be a great team. It's not like they're going to rack up a great win-loss record, but we're talking ATS here. They're going to be an undervalued ATS team, catching a lot of points in games because they were so bad most of last year, but they got Desmond Trotter. Their offense was a lot better. Their defense, their offensive line, by the way, should be really good, South Alabama, this year. They bring back most of their starters there. The defense was good last year. A little bit of concern on linebacking core in terms of some departures, but I still think they're going to be a solid defense. Problem is they're playing a good quarterback, Jack Abraham. I know last year he was kind of inconsistent for Southern Miss, but he's definitely a guy that's talented. I know they lost a couple key receivers, but South Alabama too, by the way, I like their skill position talent. I forgot to mention that. South Alabama's got a couple of big-time receivers that you want to watch out for that I think have the chance to be big-time impact players for them. Kawan Baker, one of them, Jalen Tolbert, the other. 2 very good receivers for South Alabama. I think they keep when I bet it early in the week, I said I think they keep this within 2 touchdowns. Of course, if they lose by 2 touchdowns now, Jimmy, that's not going to do no good for anybody because they're 13.5 right now. But even at 13.5 with the line move, I still lean strongly. And I think it's still worth a bet, South Alabama plus the points. There's just a lot of moving parts with Southern Miss. New coordinators, new schemes on both sides of the ball. That's going to take time. And I did bet the over in this game as well because South Alabama's going faster, pace-wise. Their offense is better with Trotter. It got much better late in the season last year. Southern Miss with a ton of personnel losses on defense. So I bet over the total of 53. Problem is that's gone up now too. It's 56 across the board. So I hate to do this to everybody because I like South Alabama. I like the over, but you're getting worse numbers now than you got earlier in the week. That being said, I still lean in that direction for sure. South Alabama plus the points in the game to go over the total. But I would honestly say that if you can't get 56, which is a key number, and if it goes up higher than that, I would really start to scale back a little on that over from where I bet it at 53. But for me, it's South Alabama over the total for me.
Yeah, after this breakdown, I would like to move with you. C-Mac saying he needs 14 and not 13. I like your call on the playmakers. Kawan Baker, 16.4 yards per catch and 35 receptions. That's just going to go up. Jalen Tolbert, 19.3 yards per catch.
And look, another thing to keep in mind, Jimmy, is they finished the year 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games last year. And that's a Southern Miss team that was dreadful. Nobody wanted to bet South Alabama going into that final stretch because they were dreadful offensively. Then they made the quarterback change to Desmond Trotter, who's looking like he's got potential to be at least solid for this offense. And that's when they covered 4 of their last 5 games down the stretch. And I think that's carryover into this year against a Southern Miss team that, again, is being a little bit more priced like the really solid Conference USA team they've been the last couple seasons, but a lot of losses on defense, 2 new coordinators. That is not a situation I'm looking to lay almost 2 touchdowns with in game 1 of the season.
I can't start the year taking bad numbers, so I'm not going to stake plus 13.5. I wish I got on it early. If I see a 14 on the board, I'll go, but I just can't start the year like that. even if I want to do it because it'd be fun to have football action. I'll just have to keep an eye on the market. So the only move I'm going to be on is the Bears-Blazers under 50. And C-Max says, yeah, they did strong at end of the year. Miss wasn't that great. Central Arkansas, UAB Blazers under 50. I'm going to keep an eye on the market for the Jaguars. Can you review your NCAA football action?
Yeah, I'm going to make them official still, even though I got better numbers. I hate doing that, but again, that's what you're going to get with college football the first couple of weeks. You're unfortunately going to have situations where by the time we do this show, the number that you bet's gone. So, but I still am going to make them official at the current numbers. South Alabama plus 13.5 and over 56 with that game.
I like it. What a treat it was. We've never had the pleasure of Bobano for the entire show because we really want to break down games. And that's why I was so excited about this Thursday with only 8 MLB games. But we've had the great Bobano hanging with us for 2+ hours. Bobano, what?
It sure didn't feel like 2 hours. It was great. Awesome. I loved it.
So much fun. Claudio looking for a top play. Those are tricky. But Bobano, are you able to review all your action, MLB, NBA, NHL, NCAA football?
Let's start from the top. Baseball. Cubs Pirates over 9.5. We're on that. We're on the Phillies first 5 minus half a run, minus 130. We're on the Toronto Blue Jays minus 135. Chicago White Sox minus 135. LA Dodgers run line minus 1.5, minus 140. That's the baseball. NBA half unit on the Raptors money line against Boston. And I like the Norm Powell over 9.5 points. NHL New York Islanders minus 115. And the over. I'm going to add the over in the Islander game too at 5 because 5 in an elimination game. I've got to put something on that. You could get that over the total by accident with all the shenanigans that could happen in the third period. So I like the over there. Vancouver, Vegas, over 6, minus 110. That's the hockey. And college football, South Alabama, plus 13.5. South Alabama, Southern Miss, over 56.
Great stuff, Bobano. I am only making 4 moves in MLB. Phillies first 5, minus a half. Yankees, Mets first 5, under 5.5. Buzznut says, can we get a horse sound from Bobano for Saturday? No, Buzznut. He only does that on day off.
Yes, that's right. I'll save it for an actual horse day. Right, we got to keep it for special occasions. Padres, I forgot Padres in my MLB recap. Padres money line and run line, split it up half and half.
And then I doubled up on the Blue Jays first 5 full game. Yep. That's my 4 looks in MLB.
I think that's our consensus play, the Blue Jays. I think that's the one we have in common, Toronto.
Yeah, absolutely.
In baseball.
And it wasn't that I'm not going against any of your looks. We
have different things. Our eye catches different things on the board every day, like anybody, right? 2 handicappers are going to have different viewpoints on different games, different plays, and different games they think are stronger than others, and that's why you end up like that.
Absolutely.
Nothing more than that.
Take our guy Claudio. He's such a great guy. He's so supportive. He's always in the chat. Take a look at all your action and let us know if there's one look that kind of jumps out at you more than the others. Let me finish up here. There's Cheryl Cardwell. Great to see you, Cheryl. So sweet to have you back in action with us. There's Gio Mercedes. We fought the good fight, Gio, on the small card. We beat the shit out of it. Baca over 22.5 points and rebounds. I like very much. And I'm on the under 223.5 in Nuggets Clippers. I like very much, but I can't give a game 1 of a series best bet. There's Guillermo Zertucci, whom you can see with his son Eli right here Saturday for the big Kentucky Derby Day. We got gas station sushi in the house as well. I'm on the Islanders -1 going for a plus score, big score.
Now who's going to be on the horse show with you? I can imagine it's going to be you. It's going to be gas station sushi. It's going to be Guillermo Zertucci, as you just mentioned. I would think you might get a Dom Ricci or Big Ragu sighting as well. I couldn't possibly put more faith in any group of people from a horse betting perspective than these people on this channel coming up on Saturday afternoon. So if you're into horses and want to make money with the Derby, tune in.
Oh, thank you for saying that. They're so much fun to hang out with, and I'm so excited. Everybody's looking for a horse sounds, but no, that's good. We want them to want something that they can't always get. Golden Knights Canucks. As soon as Demko is announced, I'm going to be on the first period under 1.5 at plus 115. Okay, let me tell you what, Claudio S. And I'm on the full game under in Bears Blazers and NCAA football. Hopefully get that 50 that's on the board right now. I'll tell you this, Claudio, for risk reward The way I see this series being played, if Thatcher Demko is in net for the Canucks, first period under 1.5 for plus 115 is my favorite look on the whole card. Whole card. I love the way the Canucks played. I love the breakdown that Bobano gave. That's very, very, very exciting stuff. Bobano, what a treat it is to roll with you. Do you have any last words for these great cappers in the chat?
Single best bet across all sports, because I like Claudio. He's talked to me a bunch on Twitter, DMs. I'll give him one if I had to. I'm not a big best bet. I try to keep my action equal across the board most days. But if I had to pick one, it's close. It's either the Islanders in the NHL or it's the Padres in baseball. I'm going to go Padres. I just love the rhythm and flow and momentum of that team. San Diego Padres. We'll go with that.
I like it. I like it. And we have nothing without these great cappers in the chat. Follow Bobano on Twitter, @Bobano. But El Capo, Jason Falk, Mark Unkerfer, The Czar, Jigga909, Cashman19, Alex Ramirez, Star the Spidey, Play of the Day. We got Mario, Paco Healy, Mr. Wisdom, Steve Priest, C-Mac, Ravi Patel, Juan Ruiz, Razor Sharp Picks. It's his birthday on Saturday. Well, we have the Kentucky Derby. So exciting. So exciting. Gio Mercedes, Gas Station Sushi, Buzz Nuts. All you guys. Dylan Turner, thank you so much for your support. Talking Sports with JT says Padres is a great play. Thank you guys so much for the support. Get that cash. Let's have ourselves a day. Now, we can't get a horse sound from Bobano, but we can close our show on a leche.
Yes, we can, Jimmy. Great job, Jimmy. Great to be on with you every Thursday. Good luck, everyone in the chat. We love you all. And leche and los bookmakers!